Take a clear photograph and send for review. We will engage you in dialogue and then provide a quotation and link for payment. You can then pay via TDC's online payment portal. And once the transaction is complete, you'll be notified that your pickup is ready. Yes, it's that easy. Send your WhatsApp message to 662-8769 to order your medications today with City Drugstore's curbside pickup service.
Jingle all the way home to Flow, where the speed is faster and price is better. All the way home to Flow, merry connections that bring us together, yeah.
Christmas starts the moment you bundle your Flow internet with your Flow mobile. Because when you do, you get a free laptop. Plus, you get 100 megabits per second internet speed, 20 gigabytes of data, 4,000 local minutes, and unlimited WhatsApp and YouTube. That's our Christmas jingling your way to keep family close for Christmas and every day.
All the way home to Flow.
Visit discoverflow.co for more information.
Sardine have a new vibe. Brunswick sardine have a new. Brunswick sardine fillet. It have a new vibe. You hear what me say? Run go to your favorite supermarket or corner shop and grab a couple things today. Cause this a sitting where everybody a go like. Brunswick sardine have a new vibe. 5 different flavors for you to try. Brunswick sardine have a new vibe. Plus it boneless. Oh yes, that's right. Brunswick sardine have a new vibe. Packed with nutrition in every bite. It tastes nice. Brunswick sardine have a new vibe.
Good morning, Sinkers and Nevis, and welcome to Voices right here on WinFM 98.9. Today is Monday, January 9, 2023. I'm your host for today. It is just 6 minutes past the 11 o'clock hour here in the studios of WinFM 98.9. We have a very special guest joining the program for today, and I will allow him to introduce himself to you, the listeners.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lincoln David Pell. I'm the representative for PAM in constituency number 7. I would just like to say Happy New Year to everyone, and I wish you all God's peace, His blessings and His mercies, and for our nation, prosperity and the peace and success for all, and for our country in a whole. And I wish God blessing on our Governor General, who is the head of state, for him to be blessed with wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, along with our Prime Minister as well, to guide us.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. David Pell, and thank you for accepting the invitation. I think it was last week, Friday?
Yes, Friday.
It was last week, Friday, when you, when I extended the invitation for you to come here, and I'm happy that you've joined us this morning. So we're going to speak on, or touch on, a number of issues here in St. Kitts and Nevis, specifically St. Kitts, and get your view, your point of view. And of course, the phone lines will be open, so we will be hearing from callers, their point of view as well, their view, their opinion on the issues that we intend to touch on today. Now, as you mentioned, you recently ran in you're a candidate in the August 2022 federal elections. I didn't get a chance to speak with you prior to the elections or immediately after the election. So, if I may, what was the experience like for you? And in speaking with some of the constituents from number 7, what were some of the issues that they shared with you?
Okay, once again, Devon, good morning, and to our listeners. Thank you for having me. The experience was a good experience. And from my experience, I realized politics is for anyone who, one, been helping throughout the years in what way or the other to society, and who want to make it on a bigger scale. I would have been doing that for a number of years. I would have made some certain suggestions, and I could see them on the ground in my country. And I decided, as opposed to just making suggestions, why not get involved? And I did. And I haven't regretted, and I'm going to continue because I see that there more needs to be done. And I think there's some misunderstanding of what politics should be, actually.
Right.
And so some of the views and concerns persons shared during the course of that campaign was, one, some of it was a lot of, yes, things appears to be being done, but in the constituency, some things were lacking. And I took it on to make sure I'm going to campaign on those issues. And I did. My view was resonated with the people. Some were asking about, one especially the farmers. The farmers needed help in different ways. Not necessarily say financial help or whatever, but to get their produce out there. Not just through St. Kitts and Nevis, but there are persons in my constituency, the farmers, who are interested in exporting. And they wanted help in that, and I was campaigning to get that done. Unfortunately, I'm not the elected representative. However, fortunately, I am a person who, I'm a committed person. So not because I'm not in parliament, my voice can still be heard. And I'm going to use my voice to help them in whatever way. To talk with, and even use this program like this to let the government have an ear to the concerns of the farmers in my constituency. Not just my constituency, but the farmers in general in the country. Because if they can supply our local market and still export, it's good business for them and our country. That means we are exporters of provisions and so forth like that. So that's a good business way of going, an economic way for our country as well. The other area was like in healthcare. And because, one of the hospitals, Mary Charles Hospitals, is my constituency. And that one of the areas I would like to see improved. Whether they want to make it a bit bigger, I would recommend it because the constituency is big and it could take a lot of persons there. However, it is in the countryside where we have tree, the breeze of the sea just come up and smack you in the face. So, why have everything centralized in Bastia? When we have 2 other hospitals right here in St. Kitts, Bastia, Sandy Point, and Molyneux. We could make those hospitals a bit bigger and take this train off of Bastia. We could be strategic in having whether, how we want to put the patient, whatever class or category we want to put them. So they go to these hospitals, and relieve this train of serious one, okay, minor one. You be strategic. Because believe it or not, the countries that are much bigger than us, they do things like that. That brings me to the point where with St. Kitts and Nevis, if Nevis have the equipment for certain things, it doesn't mean St. Kitts have to get it because we're one country. Just like how you could leave from here and fly to America, Canada, or whatever for treatment. Why don't I take a boat and just go over to Nevis, vice versa? We don't have to have duplicating everything. We're just making financial strain on our countries. So this is one way to look at it. And we could have build our healthcare right here and make it not just for St. Kitts and Nevis, but for neighboring islands. So we'd like to see that sorted out as well. Our hospital in my constituency, get modern equipment, being enlarged, be fully staffed and things like that. So those are some of the concerns persons had. And persons were just concerned about job creation. A lot of persons were interested in getting work. Some of them were interested about starting their own business. And if you had listened to my campaign, if you ever heard me when I was campaigning, it was about economic development for my constituency. And also, by having economic development in my constituency, it would have driven the engine throughout the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Because I know you may not be old enough, but I'm old enough to understand that when Pam was in power, we had a lot of local businesses, and the economy was strong because of local businesses. And for that reason, I believe, for economic uplifting and advancing, I believe the best party is the Pam party. Some people might say I'm wrong on this, but you have to look at the facts on the ground. We had 15 years of Pam, and those persons who are older, I know we have a young lady who normally call him Miss Sylvia. She could give account for it, because remember, the cost of living increased when Pam left power. Water increased, electricity increased, even our departure tax has increased. So we now have one of the most expensive, highest departure tax in the country. So if you buy a ticket to go anywhere in the world, check the leg. You see the St. Kitts Nevis leg is always higher than the other leg. That was not on the Pam. You know, and so those are just some things I would just want to point out that was concerned to persons, just, you know, everyday living and education. You know, and as we go along, but those are just some of the concerned persons had, and find out, well, you as the representative, if we elect you, how would you do? You would be just like the other politicians? I told them no, because when I'm into something, I'm into it. And it's because I'm serious with what I'm doing, why I'm here today again, to let persons know, well, I'm not just, as what they call it, a fly-by-night. I'm here to stay, to help, because I'm accustomed to do whatever I can with whatever I have, if possible, to help. And helping on a larger scale is very important for me, because it is St. Kitts and Nevis, the best place in the world to be, my country, and whatever I can do to help to make that go on and to uplift younger persons, because, you know, every day each and every one of us get older.
Do you know if any of the issues that you have mentioned are being addressed? Or if not, what are some of the things that you would recommend to have these issues addressed?
Well, one of my things that I was talking about during that campaign was the Obadiah Primary School, at the Molyneux Primary School, and what I wanted to do. And I read a document over the weekend, and the education minister saying there are funds allocated to get that done. And that's one of the things I mentioned one time when I called in that I hope that the monies that are allocated, that not only will have roads in my constituency, but the schools. Because I realized the school situation was addressed where 2 primary schools in my constituency were really low, so they merged them together. But the Molyneux Primary School, I want to refer to the Molyneux Primary School because it's the village, so person will understand which school I'm talking about. Because if I say the Obadiah, will you understand? Suppose may not know, but the Molyneux Primary School. So I'm happy that the Minister Hanley, along with the Prime Minister, who is the Finance Minister, whatever, I'm not sure if they listened to me or there was that on their agenda, but at least I called for it to be done. And I heard that this year they're going to work on all the schools, and the Molyneux Primary School will be one that will be taken care of to get back on track. And I'm happy to hear that. And I'll be out there looking to make sure, because I went to Molyneux Primary School, so that's my school. And so I'm having interest in to make sure that that school is back up running, and even better than what it used to be, because over the years it kind of remained the same. So if they could make it better than what it was, I'll be so pleased.
Awesome. It is 16 minutes past the 11 o'clock hour. We'll take a break to give a shout out to our sponsors. And when we come back, we will continue Voices right here on WinFM 98.9. Let's take this break, and we'll be right back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Everything you want, everything you need, got the taste you love, anywhere that you may be. It's the Caribbean flavor. Shirley biscuits make me happy.
Shirley got it all about the flavor. Shirley never let me down. And I lime it and the beach on the tongue. Shirley biscuits always feel like home.
Everything you want, everything you need, got the taste you love, anywhere that you may be. It's the Caribbean flavor. Shirley biscuits make me happy.
Shirley, the Caribbean's favorite biscuit.
If you need protection, you need one who you can trust to secure your investment. You need one who'll do you just. TDC Insurance, you're the one that you can trust. TDC Insurance, you're always safe with us. TDC Insurance is your go-to insurance company for all your insurance needs. We take pride in offering you the best solutions and ensuring our customers are fully satisfied. TDC Insurance, we take good care of you, guaranteeing you peace of mind. You're always safe with us.
Flow, jingle all the way home to Flow, where the speed is faster and price is better. All the way home to Flow, merry connections that bring us together. Yeah.
Christmas starts the moment you go postpaid with Flow. Because when you do, you get a free smartphone. Plus, you get 20 gigabytes of data, unlimited WhatsApp and YouTube, and 4,000 local minutes. That's our Christmas jingling your way to keep family close anywhere, every day.
All the way home to Flow.
Visit discoverflow.co for more information.
Welcome back to Voices right here on Win FM 98.9. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius, and we have in our studios today Mr. Lincoln David Pell of the People's Action Movement. He was a candidate representing that party in the August 2022 National Assembly elections. Good morning again, Mr. Pell, and thank you so much for accepting the invitation to be here on this program. Now, we have touched on a few issues thus far, based on the conversations that you've had with people from or constituents from your constituency in terms of farming needs, which goes on the line of agriculture. I wanted to ask you about the water issue and what is your comment on that in terms of how has that affected you personally, and have you been able to speak with any constituents as to how that has affected their way of life?
Well, the water situation is, I could say, it's a unique situation at this time.
Right.
It's not that we never used to have water shortage, but it seems as if it's just getting out of control now. Let's say, for example, in Lodge, sometimes we may have a water problem, but we had the estates. And I believe that the population, I mean, let me ask you a question, and you're going to see where I'm going with this. In your lifetime, how long you hear the population of St. Kitts was 45,000 people?
In my lifetime, how long?
You've been hearing the population of St. Kitts is 45,000 people.
That's my entire life.
And now it's just recently I heard we're about maybe 50, 55,000 people. So you realize we might have just gone about by 10,000 people.
Right.
And to see the problem we're having with water. But what I'm saying with this is that nothing basically has changed. If you look around, sometimes you see water just running down the road, wasting. It's not that we do not have, we cannot, it's the storage of the water. Now, some persons might say, oh, we should do like Anguilla and do like this and have cisterns. But do you know back in the day we had cisterns? So we would have advanced and bypassed cisterns. But the difference between St. Kitts and the Nevis and some of those islands is that they have hills, we have mountains. And if you do not believe me, you could ask those persons. We had mountain ranges some time ago when we had the sugarcane. Especially when you have clouds over the mountain. If you go up in the mountain, you push your hand in the side of the mountain, water comes out. That means there's water in the soil. All we need is bigger catchments. Back in the day, the sugar estate had their own water supply. You know that? So what I'm saying, I'm not sure what they would have done with the water system for that. So even sometimes you had water shortage to some village, SSMC used to supply water. So what I'm saying, somewhere along the line, some things get lost. We have hotels coming up, as opposed to put the burden on normal citizens to have systems, as some persons are doing. Let us look at the fact that we have mountains as opposed to hills. Some people say, oh, St. Thomas and this have cisterns. They do not have what we have with mountains. And if you have the higher the land, that means you have water being catch down below all the time because water move from top to bottom. You know, you did your geography on the top, right? And that is what is happening here. So even though people might say let's drill wells and whatever, they still have to go down to the bottom. So if we start from in the mountain, it's going to be draining down and build bigger catchment. Because if you go up in the mountain with those water catchments, you'll see something and you'll be able to identify how long and maybe give an estimation how long these things been there. Some countries like Antigua and so forth, they have like a reservoir. They try to have them more than one areas. But so the water get dry, but we do not have anything. We have catchments. So suppose we do something like that. You realize what I'm saying? If we catch and trap the water, let me use a better word then. Let's harvest water, because there's some countries, they harvest water, right? So I believe if we do that, we could solve a lot of the issues we have with the water. Because each village had its own water supply, And if we will do that, unlike some other countries where they have central for big people, but because we have the mountain, we are so unique, and people are missing this point. Because we have the mountain and the water when the rain falls, it go down from the top of the mountain and start draining down in the side, in the soil, go down. And if we could chop that and catch some of it and do not waste, each village have its own. And then I will also recommend the persons who on the estates, if it is that they're using all of the farmer sugar water supply and still be a shortage, then we have to look at the fact that over the years, number of hotels have been built and they're tapped into, they have talking about a lot of golf courses. So as opposed to put the burden, as some person might recommend, to have the local homeowners have their own system, why not let the hotels come off of our water supply and then save us and let us have our water? That's just a recommendation. And that's just something to look at. So those persons who are in the agriculture, those persons who are in the water department, if they know about these things and what was done and whatever, maybe that's something they could look at and adjust it from there.
Well, I'm not sure as it is right now with how the hotels are set up, if they are entirely on our water system. I think as it is right now, there is an agreement between I think it's the Marriott or the Royal, I think it's hotel. I stand to be corrected, where they're getting desalinated water from one of those hotels. But I think if it's Marriott or Royal, I think that's where they get most of their water from. But that is a good suggestion there.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
That's a good one. But I'm talking about, let's say we have a hotel coming up. We have Kittish Hill. We have Ramada. You see where I'm coming from. We have all these things. We have all these things. But it's something to look at, because yes, we used to have the water problem, but sometimes persons who are my age and older, especially those who might have been in the sugar industry and those who are in the water department, you should have an idea what I'm talking about, because when there was shortage, they used to tap into they call it the SSMC water supply to supply water. And if you look at it good as well, when they finish with the sugar, you remember they always had some railroads go right around the island and so forth? Some of those blocked off, and therefore things change. I'm not sure if it was the same thing that they do. They're not realizing there was connectivity between certain things, and they just abandon everything. But this is something to look at. Maybe they could touch base with some of the estate persons and find out. But that used to be some redress when I used to go to school. I'm not saying we never used to have a water problem, but the population didn't grow to 100,000 to really put that much strain. Something is wrong.
Right. What about the feedback from the constituents? Have you been able to speak with anyone as to how the experience has been for them?
Well, it is not good. Some of them are saying the water get cut off too early. and we have rain falling now, and people say, "Oh, we're not getting rain all the time." But when you look in the mountain, you see clouds over the mountain. Especially the darker the cloud, that means it's water in the cloud. That means rain is falling in the mountain. It may not be falling down land. I mean, down the lower side, but at least in the mountain. A geographer, agriculturist who really follow the weather patterns, a person in weather, you will know these simple things to know that when you see those dark clouds and in the mountain, I mean, if you know the types of rain and so forth, you know what I'm talking about, the relief, the convectional, and those kind of rainfall, the cyclonic rainfall, you will know that when you see those clouds, because the cloud is heavy with water, so it cannot go over the mountains. It hit the side of the mountain, it breaks, and the water start to fall. When the cloud get lighter, it go up, go over the mountain, and fall over the other side. So these things, and if you see how green all those, so we have water. It just depends on the method of how we use to get the most of the water for as long as we can. I am not a water engineer. I'm not involved inside there, but my knowledge of what has been happening and look at the population growth to see that there's not no big difference, to say that there's so much people now that we're using strain. But I think you understand where I'm coming from, right? There's not that big increase in the population to say, okay, we were 45,000 people, and then we now jump to 65,000 people to say, okay, that means a strain. According to our census, we are just about 50 or 55,000 people. So that means if you have 55,000 people, it's just 10,000 people went down, because for so many years I keep saying we 45,000, 45,000. If we now just reach 55,000 people, that means 10,000 people increase over this year. So this train of the water shouldn't be that much. There's something else is wrong. And I believe that the catchments haven't expanded. We haven't added more catchment. But it's a problem to our people in my constituency, and I know there are other persons who have this similar problem. But for me, yes, I would like to see my constituency first get sorted out. I could be selfish, but I prefer the entire island of St. Kitts get sorted out. But I'm batting right now for my constituency. I want my constituents to get themselves sorted out with the water. So I'm asking, and the water minister and the prime minister, who is the finance minister, and I know you have the country, the best interest at heart. There might just be different ways, like I was talking earlier, is that everybody who in politics want the best for St. Kitts and Nevis. It's just that they might have different philosophy based on the party and methods based on the vision and what they might have. So at the end of it, this is not anything to bash the government or anything, because you remember I talk about for years, you know what I mean, the differences. And I think that's where it needs to go. So our persons who are in the water system is to maybe touch base with those persons in the who used to be in the SSMC, to figure out where these things are and how we could actually merge them and make them better for our people. And I would like constituency number 7 get sorted out as soon as possible.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. David Pearl. It is 11:30 here in our studios, and you're listening to Voices right here on Win FM 98.9. We'll take a break to give a shout out to our sponsors, and when we come back, we will continue the program. The phone lines will be open at 466-0989 or 762-0989. The numbers again are 466-0989 or 762-0989. You can call us to be a part of the conversation. Let's take this break, and we'll be right back. Stick and stay.
Found the sound. 98.9. Win FM.
Flow! Jingle all the way home to Flow, where the speed is faster and price is better. All the way home to Flow. Merry connections that bring us together, yeah.
Christmas starts the moment you bundle your Flow internet with your Flow mobile. Because when you do, you get a free laptop. Plus, you get 100 megabits per second internet speed, 20 gigabytes of data, 4,000 local minutes, and unlimited WhatsApp and YouTube. That's our Christmas jingling your way to keep family close for Christmas and every day.
All the way home to Flow.
Visit discoverflow.co for more information.
Sardine have a new vibe. Brunswick sardine have a new. Brunswick sardine fillet. It have a new vibe. You hear when me say? Run go to your favorite supermarket or corner shop and grab a couple tin today. Cause this a sitting where everybody a go like. Brunswick sardine have a new vibe. 5 different flavors for you to try. Brunswick sardine have a new vibe. Plus it boneless. Oh yes, that's right. Brunswick sardine have a new vibe. Packed with nutrition in every bite. It tastes nice. Brunswick sardine have a new vibe. TDC Financial Services. We're here for you to help you make your dreams come true. Whether your needs are big or small, we'll support you with them all. TDC Financial Services. We are strong. TDC Financial Services. This is where you belong.
TDC Financial Services, where money is made easy.
Welcome back to Voices right here on Win FM 98.9. It is 11:34 here in our studios. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. The phone lines are open and we're taking your calls at 466-0989 or 762-0989. Again, the numbers are 466-0989 or 762-0989. This is Voices for Monday, January 9th, 2023. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius, and we have in the studio with us today Mr. Lincoln David Pell of the People's Action Movement. Again, Mr. David Pell, thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Yes, and also, Devon, I would just like to mention that I'd just like to congratulate the Speaker of the House. This is someone who I know very well. So that is why I'm saying my approach to politics is to let everyone know that not because we might be we do not have to be enemies. You know what I mean? Give credit where credit is due. But at the same time, the role and function of the opposition is to just keep the government in check. There will be things that we see that needs to be done better, and there might be things that we may not be agreeing with. But at the same time, we're there to make sure the government is kept in check. So I'm just congratulating the new Speaker of the House and the Deputy, and I'm sure and I know she can do a good job, and she will do a good job. All I just wanted to know is just to guide herself by the book, the Constitution, what it said, her power and function is, and she'll be okay. And keep God first. Also, another gentleman who I was here, I'm happy for his appointment, is Mr. Edinburgh, you know. And so I just happy that for him, and I just hope he's in a position now, so Mr. Edinburgh, you're now in a position where you're doing a duty for the country in the Prime Minister's office, special advisor, and your advice, let it be a good advice for the benefit of the entire nation. I know you can do a good job, so do a good job. Other person might see things differently, but I am happy for you because you uttered a lot of things, and by you making certain utterances, and you have knowledge of certain things. Why not? Just do a good job, and do a good job for the country.
All right. Mr. David Pell, we have a caller on the line. Let us take this call. A caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Devon.
Good morning. How are you this
morning? Good morning, Mr. Pell.
Good morning, my good friend. How are you doing?
Well, if the country had more politicians like you, we would be better off.
Thank you for that. But give God thanks and praise.
If the country had more politicians with the same kind of mentality and attitude and philosophy, we would be way better off than we are today, you know. Or we have always been. Let me say, I have always been. You know, honest. You know, and I do appreciate it. And I am glad that you are a Christian, because some people got some notion that Christianity is supposed to be nothing. That is foolishness.
Give God thanks.
The righteous can't talk, then the devil will take over. Now, there was the accusation that the people from your constituency were given first preference to the better paying jobs, more opportunities for work, study, and everything. Has there been any, what have you heard since the government changed? Are the people feeling the same thing?
Well,
what are people saying?
well, it's amazing, I've not been hearing much about that, so to speak. But, in every situation, you would realize that. Remember, the former prime minister was from Tabernacle, so he would have known a lot of people. Now, for other areas that might not have been benefited, it's an unfortunate thing because I believe that everything that is from the country should benefit everyone
everybody.
for the country. So even persons in Nevis, even though some Nevisians might feel differently, they're part of the country of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Yes.
And I believe if there's a job in St. Kitts and there's nobody in St. Kitts that could fill it, Nevis is supposed to get it.
I agree with you.
A boat is just there. I just said it's just a short thing. You could even walk over there, run on the water if you're fast enough to reach
You
over.
understand? The boat's taking 5
It
minutes now.
belongs, but of course, it belongs to St. Kitts and Nevis. And if it happened where it might have been like that, yes, I could say, okay, I'm happy for my constituency, but still it was unfortunate because everything should be equally given. Because everything here, if there's a scholarship to even study how to pick mangoes, and you have two, it should be, even if you want to say, okay, which areas we think, a discussion, which areas do we think need better suited for this, and have it done. That brings me to an instance where, let's say, for example, some people might vex with me, but it's the reality. I personally believe the cricket stadium should have been in Nevis. You have more people interested in cricket over in Nevis than in St. Kitts.
And they have represented us internationally.
But of course, unfortunately, and there are good people in St. Kitts, but for whatever reason, they do not reach that level. But when you have to look...
It's the party thing that is killing us, that is why I appreciate the way you do your analysis. Because you seldom ever hear anybody speak like that.
Thank you very much. Because when you have to look at the football...
People speak to represent party and party alone.
No, I'm here to represent the people. But
all right, call 1 second, Mr.
Yes.
Do you have another question? We want to facilitate some more calls.
Has there been any talk about how has the reforming of the PAP affected your constituents, if any?
Well,
I'll hang up.
Okay. Well, there are a number of persons who might have, who are affected by it, so to speak. But for me, in my campaign, and when I met some of them individually, I said, you know what? It is better to even start your own business and get a job where certain things will be put in place. Because the PAP and whatever, the different programs, I know that words were mentioned to the fact that whether benefits would have come after, I'm not sure if that would be. But if you go and seek a job or create your own business, and that is why I said before, Devon, the philosophy and the vision of PAM is about developing the human itself. And by developing the human, the entire nation get developed, which is to create your own job, create your way, make yourself employable. So I would have hoped that persons who are affected by that as not coming off is to look at this as an opportunity now. Okay, I had the experience of doing that. Why not start my own, even if it's landscaping, why not start my own landscaping business as opposed to depending to go back on the PAP? You get where I'm coming from, Devon. So I hope that, because as the scripture says, one disappointment might actually turn out to be a good. So this might be a good for some person to open their eyes to realize, look, I have a skill to start my own business. Let me go and register a landscaping business. Because if you trust me, my friends, not because you're in landscaping, you could go to persons who in the US, they are millionaires just from landscaping.
Right.
So I just want to end then, if you have another call, I'll let the person come in. But I just wanted persons to understand, take this as an opportunity to create your own business. You were doing it before for the government. Let the government now pay you as a business owner to get it done. And I hope the government will encourage people, because for me, that is what I was encouraging my constituents to do. Not because you're on PAP. Why not now turn that into your own personal business? I'm talking about wealth development. And if persons, you catch where I'm coming from, Devon, start creating, not getting a salary from someone, which might be small, but you're creating your own wealth.
All right, we have a caller on the line. Let's take this call. Caller? Caller, you have to turn off the radio. Turn off the radio. Turn off the radio.
Good
Caller?
morning, Mr. Bell.
Caller, good morning.
And good morning, Devon.
Yes, good morning.
Yes, and good morning to the listeners from on abroad. Carl Brown here. Water. Water seems like it's going to be a lifetime issue for citizens and residents here. You know, that has been for many, many years under many, many different governments. Now, one of the things is that back in the day, as you say, Mr. Bell, we used to have cisterns. We used to have all form of catchment. We used to have spouting on our roof and pipes leading to our drums and tanks and cisterns and things. And there were less people then, and there were better use and management of your water, your personal water at home, and the government itself water. Now, what I always recommend is that we go back to the days of spouting on our house and cisterns and other form of catchment for capturing lots of these millions and billions of water that we allow to fall from the rain, from the guts, and all of the farm come out the rocks, come out the mountain, and we let it go into the sea. And when I made these suggestions under all governments, they always say it's an expensive venture. Now, we know the guts them run a certain time of the year during the rainy season. And many times we know lots of water and rainfall in the mountain. And I said to them, we can trap this water in the gut instead of letting it go into the sea. And we can use pump and we can use this water for many, many things, not just farming. But they always said to me, the people in the water, is an expensive venture. Now, if you want to maintain a complete supply of water to your residents and citizens, you have to spend money to get that done. And also, the customers, going to have to also look at times for an increase in the rates, because if we asking them to do more, we ourselves have to do more in paying too. So it's a equal venture. The other thing is, I would say, and as I always say, is that we should allow the building board, we should allow the banks and the builders presently, commercial, homeowners, everyone, that you must build onto whatever business or home you're doing, some form of spouting, cistern, and catchment to your property. Because you know why, Mr. Bell? In case, in the dry season, you see what does happen to us. Now, if you have those catchment and cisterns and things, this is the time now you start using that water that you have been catching those few months. And we know it's just, under 6 months, we just have the dry season start, June, July, August, going down there. So if we have cisterns with these water that are falling now, where we don't have to use right now, we can then leave, as we just said, the government water and use our cisterns and our catchment water that we collect from the guts and ditches and all those things. And we would have water in supply. And then again, these are ways we find to increase our water production, because, everybody is building now, all kind of businesses is coming. So we have to find ways of storing and catching more water for these things. And we are always talking about more hotels coming, and the kind of water them use. Lots of them don't do desalination thing. Lots of them not take this water and try, wash it out and do other things with it because they can afford it. These are just some of the things that we can do for ourselves, and the government too can assist with this too, in terms of having some of those millions of gallons going into the sea for storage. Again, just some of the ideas. I hope somebody will take up these ideas one of the time, because we do need them. Are gone.
All right, caller, thank you so much for your contribution to this program. Mr. David Pell, your response to the caller?
Well, anything to help with water. But one of the things that I would, me personally, is to have government legislate that I must have a cistern. You know, I'm not sure. Someone might actually do it. But is it the wisest thing to do? I'm not sure.
Well, for me, it's a ticklish issue. But speaking from experience, because I have a cistern at home, I live in Nevis. I would think it would be wise for home owners to have cisterns. You can't always rely on the government's water system for water. You having your own system, I think, would be a significant plus. Bearing in mind that ain't everybody gonna be able to afford to, put a system in your home.
Now you catch where
right?
I'm coming from.
But I think there are ways to have it integrated into your building plan.
Now, encouraging and mandating are two different things. You know what? People always try to underestimate the effectiveness and the professional thing in government services. And maybe it's because people think because they're working for government, they're just lackadaisical. But actually, the water department can be depended upon, But it's just like what I said. If we have bigger catchments, you would realize what happened now. The water supply could become reliable. Because would you say the water in bottling companies in St. Kitts and Nevis are reliable to produce bottled water every time?
Perhaps not.
But you catch where I'm going with it, right? What I'm saying, if we could depend on them, we can depend on the water department. And when it comes to our systems, is what you believe will actually happen. If you do not believe in the effectiveness of the water department, you're going to have actually inefficient performance. Because remember, if people realize the important job they're doing and they take it serious, you will see a big difference. But if people believe, I'm sure maybe you might have heard it before, some person when they work for a company, this belongs to company, man, so they just want to take advantage of it. Or this is government work, man, so I could lie around as I like and still get paid. So it's not really the system's not dependable, it's the people who are working.
All right. We have some more callers in the line, so let us go back and take these calls. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning to you and your guest.
Good morning.
Yes. First of all, with regards to the water situation, I've heard it mentioned by officials that storage is not the problem. Okay? That seems a bit counterintuitive, right? Because really and truly, the more storage you have, the better we should get. I mean, they're thinking that the problem is one of collection or production of water, capturing the water or producing it like through desalination. The thing is, there are short and intermediate and long-term solutions, and I think that the government should be pursuing all three. Certainly short-term, one of the first things that we can do is effect things like, I know it might not be particularly, shall we say, most people would not want it. Okay, so, but what we can do is increase the price of water for domestic purposes. We boast, I've heard successive governments boasting that we pay the least in the region for water. Well, that's okay if it was in plentiful supply. But now that there's a scarcity, maybe we should look at it and use that as one of the ways of making sure that people are more careful with their water use. And one of the things, for instance, that we do here, when you have a new building site, one of the first things that people do is connect it to the water supply. Now, we can have a whole new trucking industry from people supplying water to these new building sites, and it's only when the construction is complete that it should be connected to the government water supply, which is more expensive generally because it's treated water. Okay, cement mixing concrete does not matter. The water doesn't need to be purified for that. So those are ways of conserving water. Okay, and there's one other thing that, and this is a political question for your guest. He's a politician, so I don't think he would evade the question. Do you think that the PAM brand has been damaged over recent years by its association with other coalitions? I mean, we all remember PAM as being the only viable alternative to a Labour government, for instance. Now that you have this multiplicity of parties, do you think that the PAM brand has been damaged? We've seen a number of defections from the PAM party, some really, surprising defections, actually. And so what do you see as the future of PAM in our political environment, in our political space? Okay.
All right, caller, thank you so much for your contribution to this program. It is 11:54 here in our studios. Mr. David Pell, your response, and we break for the headline news.
Okay, I'm going to take the last question first,
All
as
right.
opposed to just the water, because the water could be solved easy.
All right.
Now, to answer your question if PAM was damaged, not so much because of the coalition, but I could tell you a lot of the persons believe by having close alignment, partnering with PLP cause a problem. Not so much with CCM, but with PLP cause a problem. I'm not afraid to say it because a lot of people is saying it. And I would have hoped that, I want to comfort them now, that persons would have realized, okay, and ever they did it for the best interest of the country, but it didn't turn out the way it wanted to. And looking back, things could have done better, right? So yes, it has, and there are a lot of things that being done to get those persons back and let them realize that PAM is still the best party of choice in this country. It has been around for a long time. When you have to check the track record for economic development of our country, PAM has that record. Okay? And I want to use this opportunity to tell every supporter and member of PAM who felt let down by the merging, especially with the PLP, it happened. We cannot undo it. It happened. So come back and give your full support and make your contribution, because PAM has and will continue to do good to this country. Even though we are in opposition right now, the fact is, and that's one of the reasons I'm here, to let persons know that, yes, we're going to let the government know, yes, you're doing good here, but yes, you could have been doing better there. Because it is not about just opposing for opposing's sake, but it's to let the government know there's a party, which is PAM, People's Action Movement, going to make sure they're keep in check. And like I receive a WhatsApp, but when we come back, I could address it, that persons are saying that persons are getting turned away, and the Labour Party in campaigning saying they're going to turn away people, but still people getting turned away left way, and they're looking at it a different way. So I'm just saying, well, we're going to ask these questions as to why, give an answer. We want answers because there are persons in my constituency, in other constituencies, who are saying that these things are happening. And of course, we have to ask questions. And we're not bashing the government, but asking the government a question, well, okay, can you please justify this, give an answer to this? So to my good friend who asked the question, yes, there was some damage, but we are repairing, and we just want even you to be and support PAM, because you should know, you seem to be versed in certain things. You should know when you have to compare 15 years of PAM and then the 20 years of labor and then even the 7 years of the merger, you would realize there's a difference on the PAM, what the economic development of the country was, and even the peaceful nature of the country. You know, we have a new prime minister, which is in Mr. Terence Jew, Dr. Terence Jew. I know the gentleman very well. You know, we call out to each other. There's nothing personal. And even now, if I see him across the road and I will buy him a malt. I don't drink alcohol, so I wouldn't say I will give him a beer or something, but I give him a malt because I have nothing against anyone. And like I said, I congratulate him for his appointment of Mr. Edinburgh. I know Mr. Edinburgh have policing background, so I know he'll be, because the Prime Minister's office has the Ministry of National Security as well. And so I hope, and I ask Mr. Edinburgh to remember you are now in a function where you're functioning for the country of St. Kitts and Nevis. And the other appointed ministers, well, you know, some person might have other things, but just do a good job. You're doing a job for the country and not the party. But bear in mind, the PAM party, the People's Action Movement, will be there to make sure if anything they see going wrong and could be done better, we're going to ask questions and we're going to ask that you remedy certain things. And one of the things I want to remedy is in constituency 7, where we had, like they say, the playing field in large where the school children come down, there's no restroom facility and things like that. So to get that sorted out, and I will be batting for my constituency every bit of the way, because I'm here. I told them I'm going to represent them. I'm not in parliament to do that, but at least I'm still going to represent my constituency because I want the best for my constituency. And I believe by my constituency getting the best and having economic development in my constituency, the entire nation of St. Kitts and Nevis will have economic development, because one area could spur something. Mm-hmm. Look at California in the United States. Look at New York. You see where we're coming from. And look at London. You know, look at other major cities throughout the world. You see how one city spur up economic development throughout the country. And therefore, I do not want our government to focus on Basti alone, because back in the day, everything was not as centralized as it is now. And to touch the water problem before we go.
Mm-hmm. Well, quickly, because it's 12 o'clock now.
Yes. I could recall when we had standpipes, and now a lot of them have been removed. Look at what happened. We still have shortage, but people say the standpipe will cause wastage. So I just want us to think about that, and when we come back, we could go in more.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. David Pearl, for your contribution to this program. It is 12 o'clock here in the studios of 1FM 98.9. So we'll take this break now for the headline news. And when we come back, we will continue Voices right here on 1FM 98.9. It is Monday, January 9th, 2023. It is 12 o'clock on the dot. Let's take this break for the headline news, and we'll be right back. Stick and stay.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, and Carib Brewery.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International. By land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
With over a century of perfection behind the Mackeson name, a smooth blend with perfect balance and richness, it's no wonder Mackeson Triple Stout has a legacy of perfection. Enjoyed the world over. Introducing our new look with the same great taste. Mackeson. All hail the king.
Please drink responsibly.
We are faced with tough decisions every day, but choosing the right home or motor insurance shouldn't be one. You need fast claim settlement from a company that's been rooted for over 31 years. And don't forget the A Excellent rating by AM Best. Make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Reliable insurance that you can count on. Get a quote today for your home, motor, contents, and liability insurance needs, and make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance. Tomorrow secured. Local agents, Dalil Walwyn & Co. Limited. Telephone 465-2631 or 469-5303 for the Nevis office.
The St. Kitts Electricity Company Limited is advising the public of scheduled maintenance outages for the week 9th to 13th January 2023. Skellig says the scheduled maintenance outages are necessary to perform maintenance as part of their ongoing efforts to improve reliability. Upper and Lower Barrio, Lower Molyneux and Park View Barrio housing project will experience a power outage from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Tuesday, January 10th, and Golden Rock Commercial will experience a power outage on Wednesday, January 11th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Skellig says the electricity supply may be interrupted later and restored earlier than the scheduled times. Skellig apologizes for any inconvenience caused by these electricity supply interruptions. Persons who remain without power after the scheduled outages are asked to call 465-2013 or 600 from a mobile phone to report the outage.
This is the Carib Update News Service. I am Wendy Chateau reporting. The incumbent Antigua Labour Party announces it will implement a measure promised by the opposition a week ago. This is the big story we're tracking this hour on Monday, January 9, 2023. Details of this story and more straight ahead. Now for the details. With a week and a half to go before general elections in Antigua and Barbuda, the incumbent Labour Party has announced it will implement an exact measure the opposition said it would if it wins the polls. The government announced on the weekend that it had decided to drop work permit requirements for all CARICOM nationals and nationals of the Dominican Republic who were employed there at the beginning of the year. Though the official statement on the measure said immediately, the government's decision may not take immediate effect. Parliament is dissolved and new legislation or amendments cannot be passed. Government is likely to regularize the policy only after Parliament is reconvened after the general election. The announcement is seen by some observers as the latest push by the parties there to court the expatriate vote. Antigua's main opposition United Progressive Party has unveiled its 2023 manifesto under the theme 7 Pillars for Relief, Recovery, and Shared Prosperity. The 60-page policy document was released at a public meeting in an area called Mock Pond on Sunday night. The incumbent Antigua Labour Party is scheduled to release its manifesto on Tuesday. Independent candidate Asad Michael has also announced that his manifesto for his run in St. Peter will be released at a public event Wednesday. UPP is articulating measures to reduce the cost of living and spur economic growth and job creation in its plans. The opposition's plans also include a detailed outline on some measures it will take to address the country's water production and distribution crisis. It promises to remove duties on importation of water storage tanks for 12 months and institute policies to ensure that every house has at least one water tank. It said that it will also seek to upgrade the island's water treatment infrastructure and place new emphasis on accessing groundwater. The UPP said if elected, it will also build what it describes as a comprehensive dam network. A cabinet reshuffle in Jamaica is likely this week. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has reportedly started meeting with individual cabinet members who are expected to be impacted by the reshuffle. One source told the Jamaica Observer newspaper that a new-look cabinet would be in place by January 16. Holness has not confirmed or denied reports of the pending cabinet changes. This is Newsbreak from the Carib Update News Service. In more news, the United States has released a federal prisoner who is known as one of its most notable opponents of treatment of Cuba since its revolution. She is Ana Belén Montes and is freed after over 21 years in a federal military prison. The 65-year-old spent almost 2 decades spying for Cuba while employed as an analyst at the Defense Intelligence Agency. After her arrest in 2001, officials said she had almost entirely exposed U.S. intelligence operations on the island. For almost 2 decades, she met with Cuban handlers every few weeks at Washington, D.C. restaurants and sent coded messages containing top-secret information to them via pager. She received her orders by transmissions sent over shortwave radio. Montes will remain under supervision for 5 years after her release and will have her internet usage monitored. She will also be banned from working for the government or contacting foreign agents without permission. Unrepentant in her trial, she defended herself, saying she obeyed her conscience rather than the law and felt morally obligated to help Cuba defend itself from efforts by the U.S. to enforce values and political systems on it. Ana Belén did not receive any money from Cuba for her 16 years of work. Trinidad-born Baroness Florilla Benjamin, 73, has become the first woman from the Caribbean to be bestowed with one of the UK's highest awards, the prestigious Order of Merit. The long-standing Windrush supporter and former politician and broadcaster has been presented with the honor by King Charles III. The award recognizes distinguished service towards the advancement of the arts, learning, literature, or science. This has been another edition of Newsbreak from the Carib Update News Service. The Caribbean's newsroom, I am Wendy Chateau reporting.
And we begin in China, where there have been hugs and tears as international travellers arrived in China yesterday without the need to quarantine for the first time since the early stages of the COVID pandemic. The strict quarantine rules have been in place for nearly 3 years. Their lifting marks the end of Beijing's zero COVID policy, which had caused growing public anger. In Hong Kong, 400,000 people are expected to travel into mainland China in the coming weeks, with long queues for flights into cities including Beijing and Xiamen. So what will the impact be of the reopening of China, and how will the economy respond to all of this? Let's go live to Hong Kong now and talk to Iris Pang, a Chief Greater China Economist at ING. Iris, lovely to see you. So for many people, this is what they have been waiting for so long, where they haven't seen family, etc., or been able to go home, for example. Give us your take on the impact this is having.
So I believe that going into China is more than the volume of going out from mainland China. even though mainland residents, when they return to China, they don't need to quarantine. This is because the first thing is that there are so many mainland residents actually living outside mainland. They haven't been back home for years, and they would like to go home before Chinese New Year, which starts on the 22nd of January. The second thing is that going out is still not really convenient because many locations still require COVID test upon arrival.
Yeah, many countries, for example, the UK, Europe, many countries around the world have put in new restrictions for Chinese travellers, haven't they? But in terms of the impact on the Chinese economy, talk us through that, because there is a lot of concern about how this first quarter will go for China.
So the first quarter will not be really fascinating. It is just if you imagine that will be just too optimistic. The first thing is that we need to know there aren't many people going outside, and those people going into China, they will only stay in the Chinese New Year holiday, and that won't really bring a lot of economic activities. We believe that retail sales will improve during Chinese New Year, but on an annual basis, that means compared to last year's Chinese New Year, it wouldn't be a jump because some people are still not really employed or not employed full time, so their purchasing power is not fully recovered yet. So we expect that retail sales will pick up, but not really to pandemic level. The other thing is that travel-related industry will also pick up. That will be better than the general retail sales. But for manufacturing, it could be slower than last year for growth rate because US and Europe is entering a weakening stage, and therefore China's export orders should drop rather than increase.
And just briefly, Iris, because we're almost out of time, but talk us through what you can tell us about the COVID numbers and the spread of COVID in China. Some are saying it's actually now peaked. What are you hearing?
We actually don't know because the Chinese government have not released the COVID numbers for quite several days. So we do not have the information. But if we look at, for example, the metro passenger volume, that's actually increased. It means that people are, no matter whether COVID has peaked or not, people are getting used to gradually to live with COVID, and therefore metro passenger volumes continues to go up.
Okay, Iris Pan, good to talk to you from ING. Thanks for your time.
Brazilian police say they've regained control of the Congress building in the capital, Brasilia, after it was stormed by thousands of supporters of the right-wing former president Jair Bolsonaro. The demonstrators are refusing to accept that he lost last year's election and want the military to intervene. Well, the man who defeated him, the left-wing veteran Lula da Silva, visited the site of some of the rioting, and he's described the protesters as fascist vandals, warning they'd face the full force of the law. Our South America correspondent Katie Watson sent this report from Brazil, and a warning, there is some flash photography.
Total chaos in Brasilia as thousands of hardline protesters invaded government buildings, authorities responding with tear gas to try and regain control of Brazil's capital. This was a scenario many here feared might happen after a divisive election back in October. These images are clearly reminiscent of what happened in the US Capitol 2 years ago. After all, former President Jair Bolsonaro is nicknamed the Trump of the tropics by some. But while far-right protesters here have been emboldened by the former US president, this was more than just a copycat insurrection, and it goes beyond Bolsonaro too. What angers protesters most is not so much that Bolsonaro lost, but the fact that Lula won, a man they see as belonging in prison, not the presidential palace.
I'm here in this totally peaceful demonstration because I don't agree with all the thievery of Lula, the vice president, the Supreme Court and the Superior Electoral Court. We want new elections, clean ballot boxes.
We don't believe that this election was democratic.
there are several indications that there was fraud, that there was corruption.
There's been no evidence of fraud, despite what these protesters claim, but no matter. What these people want is military intervention. It's the only way, in their view, that Brazil can be saved from what they see as a stolen election. Lula, though, the elected president, who's been in the job for just a week, condemned what happened, calling the protesters fanatical fascists.
All those people who did this will be found and punished. They will realize that democracy guarantees the right to freedom and free speech, but it also demands that people respect the institutions created to strengthen democracy.
By nightfall, people had been cleared from the buildings and police were clearing the remaining protesters from the streets. At best, authorities were caught out unprepared. At worst, they're suspected of being involved.
Just really didn't seem to be a police presence of a capital that, potentially expected something like this to happen. We saw hardly any law enforcement on the street. The police barricades were easily overthrown by these Bolsonaro supporters. And, it's just a bit of a mess just now in the capital.
The Supreme Court has been asked to issue an arrest warrant for the man in charge of Brazilia's security, a former minister under Jair Bolsonaro, who was dismissed after Sunday's events. The calm may have been restored for now, but the political division remains. Katie Watson, BBC News in Sao Paulo.
Well, Mr. Bolsonaro has been tweeting about the events in Brasilia. In one of his tweets, he said, peaceful, lawful demonstrations are part of democracy. However, pillaging and invasions of public buildings has occurred today, such as those practiced by the left in 2013 and 2017. They are outside the law. A little earlier, we asked Leo Puglia, who's a history and sociology teacher in Rio de Janeiro, for his take on the protests in Brasilia.
Most of these more radical Bolsonaro supporters, they believe that Lula is a communist and he will install a communist dictatorship. And it happens because very similar to what happened in the United States, these people are more disconnected of reality because they don't believe in corporate media and they just get information through WhatsApp and social media made by Bolsonaro supporters and congressmen, and they believe that Lula should not take place, and they are try to set Brazil free from communism. And people here, actually, everything happened too fast, and the first reaction, we are, in one hand, we are very sad for what happened, the destruction of our capital city. We are not surprised, on the other hand, because Bolsonaro supporters, they told that they would do so. They are big fans. Bolsonaro is a big fan of Donald Trump and his supporters as well. And they promised to make an attack similar to what happened in the Capitol in the United States. And what surprised us is that the federal district police did not do its job. That's the problem. We hoped that they would protect the city from this attack, and it did not happen. We had 1 week ago Lula's inauguration in Brasilia. I was there, and people were scared because 1 week before Lula's inauguration, we had an attempt of terrorist attack in Brasilia. A guy put a bomb in a gas truck that would explode Brasilia airport. Hopefully it failed. And we were really scared about this, but the inauguration went fine, and the Bolsonaro supporters promised to take over Brasilia today, do attack like what happened in the United States. But we expect the police to do its job, and they did, and they just let the protests did what they did. They just destroyed the buildings in Brasilia. Since Lula won the election, the most radical Bolsonaro supporters, they start to camp in front of military headquarters all over Brazil. It happened all over the country, and they are everywhere. They are in front of military headquarters, begging for a military dictatorship. That's their hope, and it's what Bolsonaro promised them. But he didn't deliver, and he's running away to U.S. Afraid of being arrested in Brazil for his crimes.
Now,
Now, the United States has called for Iran to stop executing anti-government protesters. The State Department said 2 men who were hanged on Saturday were convicted in sham trials. Britain and the European Union have also condemned Iran's use of the death penalty. Well, we can speak now to our colleague, Khosrow Isfahani, Iran analyst at BBC Monitoring. So what do we know about these latest executions?
These 2 young men, Mehdi Karami and Mohammad Hosseini, were in their early 20s. They were sentenced to death during court processions that took almost a week, and they were deprived of the right to pick their own lawyers during these proceedings. In addition to that, when they were sentenced to death and the Supreme Court held up these sentences and they knew that they are going to face imminent execution, they were deprived of the right to meet with their family before they were executed. One of them, Mehdi Karami, his family was literally outside the prison the day he was executed, and they were not allowed in to meet their son for a last meeting.
Thanks for that. Just talking us through what we know, some chilling details. What about the aim of all this? I suppose part of the aim for the regime is to try and act as a deterrent, to try and stop people protesting. Will that work?
The regime so far has killed 517 people on the streets. 70 children have been among these people, and they have already executed 4 people in relation to protests. But with every one of these killings, anger and rage has built up in the country. We see that anger and rage is boiling in Iran, and every funeral is being turned into a rallying point. Right now, thousands of protesters are in jail. Rights groups put the number of detainees at around 20,000, and at least around 100 of them, according to a rights group, can face the death penalty. But people are still not relenting. Last night, we saw videos from Shiraz in Iran with people holding up 2 women, removing their hijabs, holding up placards with the names of these 2 men who were executed yesterday. On Friday, we saw protests in southeast Iran, populated by Iran's Baluch ethnic minority, with people holding placards saying that silence is slavery. Iranians are not relenting despite the state's cruelty.
Khosrow, thank you so much for bringing us right up to date with what's happening with those protests in Iran. Thank you.
That was the 1FM Headline News. The Headline News was brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, and Carib Brewery.
We are faced with tough decisions every day, but choosing the right home or motor insurance shouldn't be one. You need fast claim settlement from a company that's been rooted for over 31 years. And don't forget the A Excellent rating by AM Best. Make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Reliable insurance that you can count on. Get a quote today for your home, motor, contents, and liability insurance needs, and make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance. Tomorrow secured. Local agents, Dalil Walwyn & Co. Limited. Telephone 465-2631 or 469-5303 for the Nevis office.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution.
We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International. By land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Portsmouth's Value Mart IGA is helping you spend less and save more. How, you ask? Essential Everyday and Equiline. Spend less on our Essential Everyday products and get the best quality, the best taste, and the best value. Spend less for all your family health and beauty needs with the Equiline brand of over-the-counter products. Portsmouth's Value Mart IGA is helping you spend less. With our Essential Everyday products and Equiline over-the-counter health and beauty care products. Shop smart and spend less at Value Mart, where price matters most.
Welcome back to Voices right here on Win FM 98.9. It is 12:31 here in our studios. It is Monday, January 9th, 2023. Thank you so much for joining the program for today. We have in the studio with us Mr. Lincoln David Pell of the People's Action Movement. He contested the August 2022 National Assembly elections for the People's Action Movement in constituency number 7. Good afternoon, Mr. Pell, and welcome to Voices. Welcome to the studios of 1FM 98.9. Now, we want to continue where we left off from.
Yes, sir.
You were responding to the question from a caller just before the headline news about the water situation.
Yes. Now, as you said, there are different ways we can approach the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, government have a right to do certain things. he's mentioned about purchasing from, I think it's Royal Utilities.
Yes.
I think it's Royal Utilities.
That's the name.
Okay. And, but even though it might be a good suggestion, it is a good suggestion. We do not have the necessary equipment. Now, my thing is, like I said, we are here to question the government on certain things. But for how long will that purchase be? And is it really necessary to have that done? Because, we're dealing with the people's money. And as I said, if you're part of the opposition, I'm not in parliament, because everybody in parliament, let everyone know, is a part of government. Because, there are 3 branches of government. So even though they're on the opposition benches, according to the constitution, they're part of government, the legislature. So, but they're not part of cabinet, which is the other part of branch of government.
Right.
So let me just let everyone know that everybody who is in parliament is a part of government, which is the legislative arm of it. And therefore, those persons in parliament would question, but I'm not in parliament, so I'm also here to question on behalf of my constituents to figure out, well, could that money go on to do something else different, as opposed to pay someone for it to invest in our own water development thing. So my question would be to the government is, how long will this purchasing agreement for? And what is the cost of it? I don't think they mentioned the cost. So at least that is a public information. And I think that's something the public should know. We had the Public Integrity Act, and if something is government, then everybody in the country should know what government is spending on something for them. So that is my question. Like I said, I'm here to bring a difference. If government is saying they're doing something and they don't bring a cost, well, I think we, the people, should know what it cost is going to cost us, and for how long we will be paying this. And so for me, I have no problem in, choices of water and so forth. It is always good, So when it comes to that part of it, the cost, my concern is the cost of it and how long are we going to be. So I will be waiting for an answer. Not only me, but the persons in the country, our nationals will be waiting for answers from government exactly how much it will cost us for that service and for how long it will be before we get our own or before we really investigate as to what is really causing this shortage of water, because like I was saying before we left. Stick up in
before we continue. We have a caller. Okay, we seem to have lost that caller. We
Sorry
have some callers coming in, so we can take in the calls.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay, we lost that caller. The phone lines are open, and we're taking your calls at 466-0989 or 762-0989. Let's head back to the phone lines. We'll take some more calls. Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Yes, good afternoon, Devon and Mr. Pell. I just had to call back after hearing Mr. Pell's invitation to join PAM. Okay? You would have to convince me that the 15 years of PAM and the 7 years of unity can outshine or match not just the 20 years of labor before, but even before that. I mean, labor had very monumental and consequential achievements that I really had to match. Okay, so I'm all ears, but I know you're going to have a difficult time. No, I listened to the news during the break, and interestingly enough, you might have heard that they too are having the water issues seem to be one of the main campaign issues. Okay?
Yes.
And interestingly enough, too, they're looking at similar solutions that were mentioned, like, for instance, making sure that every home has a storage capacity. That is within our short-term, that should be one of our short-term aims, okay? To make sure that every household has some kind of storage capacity. And it's not just for this current water shortage. It's for, in the event there was a natural disaster, and we have to have, and our regular water supply has been disrupted, right? So it makes sense to go that route. We did it in terms of garbage collection, right, where every home had a bin. Well, we can certainly do it in terms of water storage, okay? And you notice, too, that they're thinking in terms of damming. They're thinking storage as well. Damming, looking for more areas to put dams. It's slightly different in Antigua in the sense that our soil is porous. So our dams would more serve the purpose of retaining water from just going down right into the sea, rainwater. It would have a longer time to percolate through the soil and into our aquifers, okay? But the idea is still the same. The idea of damming still makes sense for us, okay? So let's hope that, these solutions are, in fact, implemented pretty quickly. One other thing I noticed about the newscast, I think it started by saying that the current opposition is the one who actually came up with the plan to basically do away with work permits for CARICOM nationals. And now the ruling party has apparently trying to implement that immediately, okay? And it just goes to show why, for instance, parties are reluctant to give out their ideas or present their manifestos until the last minute, because obviously the governing party can steal their ideas, implement this stuff as quickly as possible, and so basically pull the carpet from under them. But I just thought it was interesting, the news items that came on in that respect, and how relevant they were to the discussion that you're having with Mr. Pell.
Well,
okay then.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that. But what I mentioned before with our unique situation, if you check the highest point in Antigua to compare our highest point, it's a vast difference. Antigua do not have a mountain, actually. They have to have a peak or a hill. We have mountain, and that is what I'm trying to get our citizens to understand. There's a difference between a low, and they have like a clay and somewhat limestone-ish soil. We have loamy soil, rich soil that could retain certain things. Plus, the number one factor is mountains. And if you could understand the difference between a mountain and a hill, and could tell the difference why, those who are in farming, let me bring it this way. Those who are in farming, you have a land open, and you throw water on it. And you have a piece of land with some trees, and you throw water on it. Which one the water will stay longer in? That's a question. And you will see why I'm saying we have a unique situation. We have mountains as opposed to hills. And this is one point we should not overlook or underestimate. Because it sounds good. Because remember, the persons who are drilling wells has a benefit to someone who's going to drill it. He also have a financial loss. And if there are certain things we could do to gain more quantity water at a reduced cost, why not go for it? And my thing is, and which is what the PAM philosophy is about economic development, making even life easier for people. And when I talk about life easier for people, let's say we have our caribou who deal with water. They will be affected by the water. So yes, they would like to have a constant water stream. Yes, you might say, well, they could get their own water supplies, but they're going to work on it. You know what I mean? But at least is everybody being affected. And remember, those are manufacturers who could do export to create jobs for us and everything. So there is a lot more into it for us. It is in our interest to collect more water naturally at a lower cost than to go into it at an expense. And chopping the water, and like I was saying before we left, is that now the standpipes have been removed. It seems as if we even got in a worse situation, because people used to believe having the standpipes with the people wasting water. But now a lot of the standpipes have been removed. But now we have such lacking of water. Something is just not adding up. And that's my point.
We have some more calls on the line, so we'll take these calls. All right? Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Yes, good afternoon to everybody.
Once more, greetings in Jesus' name, the only Savior of his chosen sinners from hell and from their sins, and the second part of the eternal Trinity. Now, I'm calling, mention has been made about the water system and the water problem. And I have spoken to this issue already, and I would like to do so again. Now, concerning the water problem, like all other issues, these problems are stemmed from the fact that we don't do things the biblical way, which we need to do to solve our problems, including the water problem. We also go for the health system, we go for the education system, roads, so on and so on. But let me zero in on the water problem. If the government was to do things the biblical way, which is the only way for the answers and solutions, it would properly, in a biblical way, privatize the water system in a free market capitalist manner, where you would have multiple businesses providing water. And that way, the problem would far much more quicker be solved, because in the private sector, that is where you have that is where inventiveness, creativity, initiatives, innovations, solutions, answers, and all those sorts of things are maximized in the private sector. Such are hindered very much in the government or public sector. So when things are biblically handed over to the private sector in a true biblical free market capitalist way, these good things, initiative, innovation, inventiveness, and all those sorts of things, they would be cultivated to the max, and they would be used to the max to solve problems. Right now, if we had multiple water businesses, I am very sure we would already have more than one desalination plant serving the Federation. A lot more wells would have been dug by different water businesses, and multiple desalination plants by multiple water businesses, and even other new technology that are coming on the scene, where you could even harvest water from the air. I'm sure all of that would have been implemented if we had a biblically, properly privatized water system in a free market capitalist context. And to make things available and cheap so everybody could afford, doing that would be greatly assisted by the government at least continually, cutting big time taxes, government regulations, that sort of stuff, until, like I say, you have the biblical tax system where it is completely voluntary at the end goal, which is what the Bible teaches.
All right, caller.
So these biblical solutions are the only thing that work. And until we do these things, we will never be solving our problems unless we do it the biblical way. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for your contribution to this program. We'll take a short break to give a shout out to our sponsors, and when we come back, we will continue Voices right here on Win FM 98.9. Let's take this break, and we'll be right back.
Found the sound 98.9 Win FM.
Here are your Horseman's Value Mart IG Value Club New Year's specials from December 29th through January 11th. Swiss Miss Chocolate Mix, $8.99. Chobani Greek Yogurt, just $5.69. Dole Juice Blends, $12.99. Eggo Waffles, $13.99. Breyers Premium Ice Cream, $26.99. IGA and Essential Everyday Frozen Vegetables, $5.99. And now, our very low weekly value deals. IGA and Essential Everyday Cornflakes, $8.99. IGA and Essential Everyday Mac and Cheese, just $2.79. Ensure, $7.99. Soft Soap Liquid Hand Soap, $8.99. Dole Fruit Bowls, $14.99. Kraft Rail Mayonnaise, $18.99. Shop smart, shop Value Mart. Sea listo y haga sus compras aquí a Value Mart.
Welcome back to Voices right here on Win FM 98.9. It is 12:48. The phone lines are ringing off the hook, Mr. David Pell, so we'll take some more calls, all right? All right, let's head back to the phone lines and we'll take this call. Caller, good afternoon. Okay, we seem to have lost that caller. Please, you can call us at 466-0989 or 762-0989. Again, the numbers are 466-0989 or 762-0989. This is Voices for Monday, January 9, 2023. In our studios today is Mr. Lincoln David Pell of the People's Action Movement. Let's take this caller. Caller, you're on the air. Good afternoon.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to know, you guys are not doing the YouTube live? Because I've been missing it for a few days now.
We'll have that checked out. Thank you so much for bringing it to my attention. But we are live on Facebook.
The first hour. Okay. Yeah, I see it on Facebook, but I missed an hour and I wanted to go back. But you're saying you're on Facebook as well? Okay, I'll check Facebook. Thank you.
All right. The phone lines are open and we are taking your calls at 466-0989 or 762-0989. Mr. Pell, you can go ahead and respond to the previous caller.
Okay. He mentioned about privatizing the water system. Now,
yes,
you know, privatization, it might sound good, but sometimes government have to have control in certain things because the water is the only resource, and you can't put everything in privatization hands, so to speak. And speak about the government could give license to open up the competition for water. But you know what? Our population is of such. So your persons might look at it how, effective it will be from a business point of view. But there's nothing wrong in having another water supplier. But to set up just privatize it because privatization is better, like I mentioned before, that is the thinking of persons that believe everything private is better than something that is public. And maybe it's boiling because of the attitude of persons who are working in both sectors. So it is not that they're better, it's just that it is the mental behavior, attitude, so you want to speak, and the physical behavior of persons who are working. The private man will have no concern in saying, okay, you know what, come go home. Whereas in the public sector, they believe the government will say, okay, because of this and because of vote and so forth. But if persons will just wake up and let people start to smell the coffee and say, look, you're doing a service to the people, and if you neglect, you're making the service run poorly, and then you're affecting everybody, and you could affect the country. And, put things in the perspective it's supposed to go. Maybe people might think differently. However, he was talking, so I'm not so much into privatizing the water supply. That's the only water supply we have. And, there are certain things when it comes to that, So I think all we need is make sure persons who are working there are dedicated people. So I'm not one who really so much in privatization. The next one, he talked about the system. The Bible itself says, God have the system. So the system that we have is biblical. The only thing that might happen is the way how the people function things. Because God said he put up and he takes down. So whether you want to call somebody bad or not, you catch where I'm coming from and say, render unto Caesar what is Caesar. So he gave the government the ability to raise taxes. But it also mentioned, remember God to give him what is due his, which is when you go to church to give him what you're supposed to give God. So At the same time, even though I understand where he's coming from, but the present system is a biblical system. Because even back in the day, when you have the kings and so forth, you always had a prophet who used to guide the king. And the scriptures talk about the king either do good in the sight of God and he prolong and you have peace and prosperity, or he do wrong in the sight of God and destruction comes because war comes and all kind of things. You see what I'm saying? And he said, righteousness exalts the nations. Blessed is the nation whose God is who? The Lord, right? So that's how we have to govern, and that's basically what is happening here. But it's just that it is not persons do things in a certain way, you know. But the government of the day for any country is there for the development and the betterment of its people and its country. So, and that is why, since the People's Action Movement is not the government now, we could only keep the government in check by asking questions, and where necessary make recommendations. You know how it is. Consultants get paid millions of dollars sometimes and make recommendations. No, none of those recommendations are put in place. So we as the opposition, we could only ask for our constituencies. At the end of the day, we are not there to make sure they get it. But the government thinks and realize, okay, the opposition was right in that. Let's do it. Even with our manifesto, because I have a copy of our manifesto here to prove some of the things we had to go forward.
Mm-hmm. Before you continue, Mr. David Pearl, we have a caller on the line.
Yes,
Let's take this caller, right? The caller, you're on the air. Good afternoon.
Present day to you. How are you doing, Brother Cornelius?
It's going good, thanks. And yours?
I give in thanks and good afternoon to you. Your guests who you have in your studio, blessed love and joy. How you do?
Peace to you, sir. Nice to hear you.
I'm not sure, I'm a revolution thinker, so
okay,
no
revolution thinker, yes,
no,
sir.
I just like to ask a question. I hear some details not too long ago, and when before you could go into the lunch break, so I just like to hit on something you said. And I just hear make attention about the not privatizing the water, and I stand with you on that ground because I don't see what privatization could help poor people, upcoming people in this development process. Now, within the frame of the development, when you watch at your aspect from you supporting the PAM party and within the Labour Party movements as they convey from Rancho and Douglas and now to Blackwood, will you say that the level of our people have rise in a sense of social and economical development together, or we still far apart from one another?
Well, you see, with life, as life continues, development is going to come. The government is there just to facilitate and to help. Because you know what? When you really look at it, government can only do as much. It takes you, it takes every business person who invests in the country to develop the country. So the government is just an arm to help it. By making sure we have less tax, less to pay. And also our business community, let's say the Caribbean and those things, those places who export. I prefer free trade. So my thing is for our government when they're going out to have free trade. Yes, sir.
You just said free trade?
Free trade. Free trade. You hear those bigger countries like the United States and so on, they always try to get a free trade to make things cheaper.
That's a capitalist movement you're bringing, eh?
But at the end of the day, it's trying to make things cheaper for our people. And I believe in making life cheaper for our people. Good quality life, but at the same time, it doesn't cost as much.
Right. Hold 1 second, Mr.
Yes,
David Pearl. Caller, do you have another question you want to pose?
Yeah,
because
one more question to him.
Okay, pose another question because we want to take some more calls, all right?
Yeah, one quick thing. Basically, I would just like to say, with the things you just outlined, all I have to say, it's time now we people stop the administrators make final decisions without council elders. We need those kind of levels towards our social and economical prosperity building. And if we don't have that, we ain't ready for none to change. Not even PAM, not Labour, not PLP, not whatever political party, unless they're ready to stand up for equal rights and justice. You all have a safe day.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right, thank you so much for your contribution right here on Voices. Mr. David Pearl, go ahead.
Yes, like I was trying to explain to my good friend there is that, you know, every government, if you look at America, Canada, the UK, Europe as a whole, they're trying to have free trade with other countries to make things cheaper for their people. And it's about time, I will speak for St. Kitts and Nevis, We have OECS that's supposed to make things cheaper, and we have CARICOM. But when you have to look at it, sometimes you want to know if we really have free trade agreement within these bodies. You know, it's so expensive sometimes to think, and we have our manufacturers here who want to get things out. The cheaper it is to get things out, the more they will be able to get out. Now, I know we have a few manufacturing industries here in St. Nevis. One of the big ones we could speak about that even during Carnival Day is the Caribou. You know, why not create, you know, to import the materials, the raw materials for them a bit cheaper and make it cheaper for them to export throughout. You understand where I'm coming from? Because the more they export, it only improves our country.
Right.
Because every country like to talk about how much they export. What is the trade balance? You understand where I'm coming from?
Right.
And this is where I'm thinking, and I would like our government to think. Yes, it is good to have certain, let's say, to say our passport is strong to travel throughout the world visa-free. But what about trade, free trade, to make cost of living cheaper for you and for me and for everybody in St. Kitts and Nevis? So I'm asking our government to, when they go to negotiate, even work with some of our business people to try to let them push their services or product outside in the outer world so we could get, you know, things out. Just like how people want to come into St. Kitts to invest and to sell. Why can't we have our own people do likewise? But make it easy for them to do, make it cheaper to do. And that is the whole thing I'm saying. So with the water seems as if it's taking up a long time because I realize it's a regional thing when it comes to the job. But like I said, even countries like Jamaica who have mountains and, you know, these places, because they have the mountain, there's certain thing that, you know, they have the lowlands as well, but when you have mountains, you cannot compare to another area that do not have mountains because they're completely different. And like I mentioned to you, I don't know if you check it out, anybody, you have an open ground, you throw some water in it. You have a ground with trees, throw water, and you see which one water evaporate first. And that is what's happening here. We have a mountain, therefore our water will stay longer. But to get the best use of our water, we have to have a very good strategy of chopping it, maintaining it. If you want to say farm the water, to farm our water. And yes, even if they want to have another company to supply water, there's nothing wrong with competition. But I would support our water department. I think we have good persons who are working there, but you know, sometimes it's just a policy, just a different set of eyes to look at things differently, to realize, hey, we've been doing this thing all the time, but this set of eyes really brings certain vision to what we're looking for. You know, and that's what it is. And I just believe that we just have to realize that 45,000 for so many years to now say we just reached 55,000 people, and the stamp pipes have been removed. Basically, all of them have removed. So what is causing? There's nothing to say. We have all these wastes of water now. You know, unless maybe people in the private homes doing, you know, I don't know what to say, but you know, I do not think the need for certain things to, you know, address a water problem. Catchments, and let's say, for example, the SSMC had its own electrical department. They had generators up there. I mean, they used to generate electricity for the whole of the SSMC up there, and those generators were big. And they had the water supply for the SSMC itself. So where has that water supply gone? So, you know, you realize where I'm coming from, is that we had water to supply this sugar factory. So where has the water gone now? There's no longer a sugar factory, because when water gone in town, you know, some people used to go to the SSMC sugar factory for water. So now the sugar factory is gone. What happened to the water?
Mm-hmm. All right. It is 1 o'clock here in our studios. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue Voices right here on Moon FM 98.9. Let's take this break, and we will be right back.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Supermarket shoppers understand that convenience matters. At Hortsports Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Ample parking and the widest variety matter. At Hortsports Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Clean, spacious aisles and the highest level of customer service all matter. At Hortsports Value Mart IGA, price matters most. We've renewed our commitment to guarantee the lowest prices in the Federation. Why? Because we understand that in this tough economic environment, price matters most. Shop smart. Shop Value Mart, where price matters most. Farms Estate Nevis and Wellington Road, St. Kitts.
Price matters most.
This is WinFM 98.9, and you're listening to Voices from Monday, January 9, 2023. I'm Devon Cornelius. In our studios, we have Mr. Lincoln David Pell of the People's Action Movement. Thank you so much for listening and joining the program for today. It is 3 minutes past the 1 o'clock hour, and we end this program at 1:30. Mr. David Pell, we're going to shift gears a bit and going to a different topic which you would want to raise at this point in time.
Yes.
Go right ahead.
Okay. Before I go into that, Mr. My good friend over there,
Cornelius.
Cornelius. I hope you don't have any problems with my good friend.
That's fine.
Okay, my friend.
That's fine.
Okay. One of the things, I received a WhatsApp from a constituent of mine. They just want me to raise this question.
Sure.
It's about the pension for non-established workers. Mm-hmm. What they were saying is that during the last administration, it was mentioned that they will be getting a pension. So, and they're saying that they haven't received any. I'm not sure how many other persons in my constituency were in like position and in any other constituency. So I'm just asking of our government, our finance minister, which is the prime minister, to really look into this situation, because I think there was something mentioned about it and it was supposed to get done. So if there's nothing formalized, this is something that was mentioned to them and they would like an answer. So Mr. Prime Minister, you're the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, you're my Prime Minister. So don't be surprised if I'm gonna, let you know some questions that I ask of me, and then therefore, in your best ability, if you could answer, just make a public announcement and everyone will hear you, so I don't have to relay personally. So that's one question from a constituent. And who knows, there might be many other constituents like that. And persons throughout the Federation, who knows, maybe Nevis and all, who might have this same question need to be answered. So there's just one day. And talking about Nevis, Mr. Cornelius, my friend, is that there are talks about, again, which I don't think we should be having this conversation all the time about the relationship between St. Kitts and Nevis and let's say, the financial breakdown and so forth. But I like to remind persons that the Constitution is clear. The Constitution is clear, and so there's no specific, no special arrangement that should be made, because you're saying that the Constitution, we're not going to bother with it. And by pushing the constitutional formula that is there, that is where short change is going to come. Because the Constitution, the persons who draft and frame the Constitution would have worked out a formula and said, okay, this might be and I'm sure they would have gotten advice from other countries who are in similar things. The best way is per ratio when it comes to the citizens. And if they mention that, because let's suppose, God, nobody knows, Nevis might end up with more people than saying it's one of these days. We do not know that. And therefore, as opposed to go into a special arrangement, the Constitution already laid out the groundwork. So I would only hope that our Prime Minister and our Premier for Nevis would really sit down and say, you know what, let's work according to what the Constitution says. We don't have to work out nothing. Because by sitting down to try to work out figures and this and that, that is where the problem comes in. If the Constitution says something, because everybody agreed the Constitution is the supreme law, right? So then why not abide by the supreme law? Because to do anything otherwise, somebody is still going to cry foul, because they're going to believe is not enough. Then put that in another context. The federal government is still responsible for the maintenance and the livelihood of Nevis, you know.
In certain areas.
In every aspect. I'm going to tell you the difference. The difference is Nevis now has duty bound in special areas for itself. But when it comes to, okay, if you want to say, let's use New York, the United States, all those states. The federal government is duty bound for those, even though they have the constitution to do certain things. The federal government is still duty bound to look after them. So it's the same thing here. Because
I disagree. I disagree with you, Mr. David Pell. While I understand where you're coming from, it is the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, and so of course it has to look after the welfare of both the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. But you have to be specific with what you're saying. Are you suggesting that the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, which is the federal administration, should be responsible for every single detail and aspect of the island of Nevis?
No. I'm not saying that, because what I'm saying, constitutional bound, that's what it is. But the Nevis Island administration have the responsibility for certain things.
Right.
But it only get them because the federal government gave it. You understand where I'm coming from? Gave it to it. So at the end of the day, the federal government, every debt the Nevis Island administration receive is still somewhat. If the Nevis Island administration failed to pay, the federal government is duty bound.
How so?
Because, and let me put that out as well. When it comes to international things, that is why there's no country named Nevis, there's no country named Nevis. I mean, St. Kitts. Anything internationally you can say you're bound in Nevis to it is the federal government, because the federal government is responsible for federal stuff, like foreign affairs, national security, and such like. So, and I think there's a case matter, something like that, and I think it's because it's something like that, because Nevis on its own, to make international thing, you understand where I'm coming from? So, this is what I'm saying, it may, in practice, but when it comes to the Constitution and the legal ramblings in between there, the federal government is duty bound. Because, and that is why there were cases where, some years ago, where some persons were saying, the security of Four Seasons saying they cannot go on the beach, and they were saying the Premier's office or the Nevis Island administration were not doing anything, but they report to the federal government, and the federal government said, no, all beaches in the federation is public beaches. So you see where I'm coming from now. So overall, the federal government still has certain things. And if we really operate the way it is, because when you have to look at it sometimes, we're having duplicity in a lot of things. And if we just do certain things, the amount of money that we spend for certain things will be reduced. So that's one of the things I wanted to touch on, to say that I would like the relationship between St. Kitts and Nevis to actually function as a country, and not as if they're two separate countries, but realize there are other countries that are similar to us. It's just that unfortunately for us, we're only two states in a nation, so therefore, and there's only one state who has a local government, the other one do not have a local government. And do you know, unless the federal government do not specify, every law the federal government passed is throughout St. Kitts and Nevis, unless they specify it to say this is for St. Kitts only. Yeah, every law passed in the federal parliament affect the entire country, unless the law specify for a specific area. And that is why I'm saying that they're responsible for everything, but at the end of the day, the Nevis Island administration is responsible for the running of the affairs of Nevis. It's not saying the federal government won't come in and step in and do anything, because that's where the Nevis Island administration is for, but constitutionally bound, it has oversight. And that is why there are certain things that must still pass to the Prime Minister's office. And I hope that the federal government and the Nevis local administration will really let the citizens of our country feel as if we're one united people. Because, it's somewhat ironic sometimes. We go and we say we want to have unity with our fellow Caribbean people, but then we're fighting among ourselves. Then what that make you to go to talk unity among others, but then within ourselves we have a problem. So I hope that the two administrations, the federal and the local in Nevis, would recognize that we are one country. And whatever we say, we should try to work within the bounds of the Constitution. And That is what I wanted to mention on that one. For the new year, let's move forward. We have a new Prime Minister, which is Dr. Terence Jew, who is a younger person. He might be looking at things differently, so I hope that could be worked out.
We have a caller on the line. Let's take this call. Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Yes, good afternoon again. It's me. Now, I would like to say something. I think the gentleman is wrong in a number of things. Your guest. Number one, in this new covenant time, the New Testament tells us the duties of government, which is to punish evildoers and approve of those that do good in Romans chapter 13. There is nowhere there you can find any justification within the God-given duties of government that justify government running water, electricity, roads, education, health, and that sort of stuff. And not only that, 1 Corinthians chapter 4, I think it's verse 6, tells us, do not go beyond what is written in the Bible. Because when we go beyond what is written in the Bible, it is sinful. So government running these things are actually contrary to the Bible and therefore are sinful. So therefore government running these things are not biblical. They are contrary to the Bible and therefore sinful. And when things are sinful, God will make sure they do not work, but you would always get much less than the best that you could have if you do things according to the Bible. Now, for example, coming back to privatization of the water system, when you privatize things in a proper way, in a true free market capitalist manner, when you do that, okay, you encourage market forces encourages the businesses to be more efficient and effective and to spend less to do the same thing that government will do at a far greater expense to the government.
All right.
Because government is much more wasteful than the private sector. So therefore you save money, and money are used for much more things the more that in the private sector. Not only that, but when things are privatized in a proper free market capitalist way, finding solutions to problems become itself a money-making business. So therefore, you have more solutions, more inventions, more innovations and that sort of stuff for dealing with problems, because you could sell your solution. You could sell your solution and make money from your solutions to private business, because private business, the more competition they have, is the more they want to stay on top of the competition to maximize the profit.
All right, caller, thank you so much for the contribution. All right, we're going to take some more calls. All right, the phone lines are open and we're taking your calls at 466-0989 or 762-0989. That is 466-0989 or 762-0989. In the meantime, Mr. David Pell, you can go ahead finishing your point from earlier.
Yes, sir. All I want to say, the scripture says the love of money, all evil. The love of money is the root of all evil. So I will leave it there, and who has ear to hear, let them hear. And so therefore, we have an opportunity with a young Prime Minister, Dr. Terence Jew, and with, if you want to say, an experienced politician who is in Mr. Matt Brandley, who is the Premier again, to really make our federation work. I know the best party for the options of partnership is the PAM party, because the relationship with Nevis was very good. But it is what it is today. The PAM party is not in government. So as the opposition now, we can only ask for our Prime Minister and our Premier to let our country, the systems that we have, work for the best interests of every single national resident and citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis. That is personally, business-wise, and in every wise. Because if our businesses are not flourishing, we have a problem. Now I welcome international businesses. But if we do not have local businesses, all what we do, we have something going back to like what a plantation time. Nothing belongs to us. And that is why in my campaign I was so much about private persons developing themselves, starting businesses in my constituency and through the federation, because what happened? It now causing our people to create wealth. And I'm just asking our Prime Minister to let it be available, easily available for our persons to start business, to create their own wealth, And I want that to go throughout the federation. I'm a federalist. I don't know if you realize that by now. I believe in my St. Kitts and Nevis. And I believe, therefore, everything should be the benefit of us. And that brings me to the point of where we were discussing last week about some persons might be shortchanged with the, the dividends. Right, because one of my constituents, asked about that. Well, how this person would benefit. And I said, well, I will ask a question. How many persons and who all will benefit from it? Because they believe in that it shouldn't just be persons who have a social security number. Because you know what? If you have to look at it, there are a lot of persons who have social security numbers who they think, yeah, they might have the social security number, but they're not nationals of St. Kitts and Nevis, but they're going to benefit. So if I am a national of St. Kitts and Nevis, why can't I benefit?
But if you don't contribute, why should you benefit?
Because the dividends is not from Social Security. It is from the sale of the passport, according to them, the CBI, right? And the passports belong to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. And that's the difference. And that is why I'm saying, look at another formula to ensure. To ensure that persons benefit. And that is something from a constituent who sent something here. And it's a fair thing because remember, according to the law, the passport belongs to St. Kitts and Nevis. And therefore, every national should benefit. I'm not saying persons who contribute to Social Security shouldn't get, but it is not saying it's Social Security giving you something. It is saying it is from the sale of the assets of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. And therefore, it's a good gesture. And therefore, they want to know why, because like I said, there are persons who could be handicapped. They may not have a Social Security number. Why can't they benefit from it neither? You understand where I'm coming from? That brings me to the point like I was mentioning last week. I think it's about time we change how our nationals get a hold of our Social Security numbers. It's supposed to have benefits and privileges and rights of a national of St. Kitts and Nevis. To have a Social Security number and not get a job letter to say I get a job to get a Social Security number. That means it make me no different than anyone else. And I am calling our Prime Minister to look at this now, to change it. It's been going on for a number of years. Remember, you might say, some party boys say, why didn't this came up before? But I wasn't in politics all the time. So some people might say there's a fresh breath coming in. And this is something I'm seeing, is that being a national of St. Kitts and Nevis should have certain rights and privileges and some advantages. And that being one of it. As soon as somebody born, I think just like in the US and those places, a number should be allocated to you. Not wait until you go to a job and you go for social security. Do you have a job letter?
All right.
I born here.
Let us take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's take this break, and we will be right back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9 Win FM.
King Ocean, king of the Caribbean seas, announces king-size savings on shipments from Miami to St. Kitts. We have the best service and competitive rates on LCL and FCL cargo, including D&E containers, cars, heavy equipment, buses, boats, and barrels from Miami to St. Kitts. LCL pickup service anywhere in the U.S. Call local agents SL Horseman and Company Limited at 869-465-4086 or 869-662-5008 for further details. King Ocean's king-size savings on shipments from Miami to St. Kitts Nevis. King Ocean, king of the Caribbean seas.
Welcome back to Voices right here on Win FM 98.9. It is 1:22 here in our studios here at Win FM 98.9, and you're listening to Voices. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. We have in studio Mr. Lincoln David Pell of the People's Action Movement. Mr. Pell, we have some callers coming in. We'll take just a few more calls and then we'll give you the opportunity to wrap up. Let's take this call. Caller, you're on the air. Good afternoon.
Yes, good day. Sir, I'd like to quickly say, the love of money is all over, both in government and in the private sector. I mean, the different parties accuse each other of corruption. So let me ask, isn't that the root of the corruption that you all are accusing each other of? The love of money? Isn't the love of money at the root of it, of the corruption you all are accusing each other of? So it isn't that the private sector is made up of devils and the government sector is made up of angels. No, we are all sinners. And the love of money is all over. And like I say, it is demonstrated in the fact that you all just accuse each other of corruption, which at the basis is the love of money, of your all accusations against each other. No, the only difference is this. In the private sector, there are checks and balances. Once you have a proper free market economy, in the private sector, there are checks and balances with their customers and with their competition. If you give me bad businesses, once you have a thriving, competitive free market capitalist system, I go to your competitor. So I keep you in check and balances from giving me bad services. But when the government is in charge, there is no checks and balances because it is Lord and Master over all, because it is in charge and it doesn't have any competition. And even if you give a license to do something, it still have regulation over it. It is still that business Lord and Master. So government does not have any checks and balances. So corruption and love of money is able to run more rampant in the government sector than in the private sector, where you have a true free market capitalist economy. At least you have that advantage and that checks and balances in the private sector that is based upon a free market economy, whereas you do not have it in government. So it's even worse in government. There are many other things I would like to say. For example, if the telephone company was still run by government, you think we would have had the good services? Well, it's not perfect. It have a lot of problems. But you think the services would have been as good as it is today if the telephone system was still run by the government? I would say no. The same thing with the ferry system. Yes, there are problems in the system, even though it's private, there are problems, but it would have been far worse if government was still running it. Do you think if all the supermarkets that were run by government, we would have had a better supermarket system? No. The services would have been worse because there would have not been free market forces in competition. So it would have been worse. So there's nothing that I know of that both government and the private sector does, where the private sector in general does not provide a better version and a better service over against the government. Even emails, people prefer to deal with packaging with the private sector in sending and receiving packages than the government post office. And it goes on and on and on and on. So I cannot see how the private sector is outdoing the government sector in so many things, and yet when it comes to water and roads and something, somehow magically the private sector can't outdo it. I don't accept that. And number two, it's not biblical anyhow. So because it is not biblical anyhow, that simply means God will not allow it to go as good as when we do things that are biblical and put them in the private sector. That is why we are having far less than the best that we can have, because we are not doing things the Bible way. Thank you.
All right, caller, thank you for your contribution to this program. That was our final call. Mr. David Pell, your opportunity now to give your contribution.
Okay, sir, my friend, we are in a democracy. And just as any other business, the people who you have inside there, whatever Whatever they put in is what you get out. I am here simply to say I'm not here accusing anyone, like I mentioned. I'm here to bring over the questions and the concern of my constituents and the party. As an opposition party, we are here to keep the government in check. And I believe, not because the PAM party is not the government can and is capable of doing a good job with the water and any system. The government do not get involved in certain things because it understands, at least in St. Kitts and Nevis, because we're a democratic country, run on the laws and believe in the development of our people, into have private enterprise for persons to make a living and to create wealth for them and then for their families. That is the philosophy of PAM, like I said before. And also, some person might believe otherwise, but in everything, you will find one or two persons who slack around and cause problems, even in the private sector. And the situations that we have today, the PAM party, like any party, and we hope that if PAM was in government, they would have questioned us. So not because I'm questioning certain things, it is not I'm against you or anything, but it's the duty of the opposition. If government is doing anything with the people's money, I say they're going to do things to the public that are going to affect the nation as a whole, it is our duty to question and to ensure we get answers to comfort our citizens and ourselves. Because you know what? It is in our best interest that our country develop the way it's supposed to go in a peaceful manner and that everyone feel the wealth. Because the wealth generation of this country is not just for the government or for some foreigner to come, like those big countries, but for every single person in St. Kitts and Nevis. There is a dream in St. Kitts and Nevis that we could benefit from. Why can't we see the dream in St. Kitts and Nevis? I'm sure you have known persons say, a company who came here and said the biggest profit they ever made is in St. Kitts and Nevis. Why can't we make our profit for ourselves in our country? And that is why I'm appealing to our government to help our industries. Let's think about free trade. And one question more from our representative was just asking to just look at it. And if there's victimization, and if there's not, to come and say why they are not victimizing persons from the farmer, from let's say this from the WhatsApp I got. It seems as if it's a PAM supporter for PAM persons, and there are some persons who believe that the government was too fast in removing certain persons from certain positions and so forth. So I'm asking to come and give a reason why certain things were done. I want to congratulate everyone in the evening in the Nevis Island Assembly who were elected, and just let them know their duty now is to look for the people of Nevis. And those persons who are in the federal cabinet from Nevis, they are therefore look for the federal issues of the country. There's a difference. When you're in the federal party, the federal parliament, and you're from Nevis, you're looking at things from a holistic point of view. But when you're just in the Nevis Island Assembly, you're looking solely for the benefit of Nevis. So try to balance the two. And when you're sitting, try to get things going. And I'm just saying, congratulations to our government for what they're doing so far. Yes, I'm going to have your feet burning because there are things you have to be done and there's our duty to get things done. But I still believe, not because we're not in power, that at the end of all of it, the PAM party is the best party for the economic development and prosperity of our people and of our nation. So I just wanted to say thank you very much, my good friend, Devon Cornelius, for allowing me to come here to share my views and to ask questions of our government, because it is our government. And we are allowed to ask questions. That's what our constitutions are. I don't know if you ever hear about the Prime Minister question time in the UK, in Australia, and so forth. We do not have it here. But I am bringing it here because I'm going to, as long as I get invitation to come and program like this, I'm going to ask our Prime Minister and our government some questions, because our people see things and do not understand certain things, and they want to just understand. Mm-hmm. And it is our government duty to make sure our people understand things that they just, look, I see this happen. How did that happen? And I have no problem again, Mr. Cornelius. At any time, you could give me an invitation and come. And any issues you have. There's more things, time seems long, but it's short when you're really getting down into things. So I just want to tell you I appreciate it very much for coming here. And God bless St. Kitts and Nevis. God bless the great people of constituency number 7. God bless you, my friend. And God continue to prosper St. Kitts and Nevis.
All right, and thank you so much, Mr. David Pell, for accepting the invitation. You were just listening to an edition of Voices right here on Win FM 98.9 from Monday, January 9, 2023. I've been your host for today, Devon Cornelius. For those of you who may have tuned in late, we had on the program today Mr. Lincoln David Pell of the People's Action Movement. He was the PAM candidate for number 7 in the August 2022 National Assembly elections. Until next time, you guys stay safe and stay tuned to Win FM 98.9.
This is not the time for sightseeing. You could be in person. Found the sound 98.9. Win FM.
You ever hear Earthquake call and say, "Hello, Miss Lee, yes, it's me, Earthquake, I coming Tuesday around 10? No, sir. Earthquake does arrive unannounced, and when it come, it shake all sense and sensibility out of we. Remain calm, stay inside, and do the DCH. Drop, cover, hold on. Once the shaking starts, you know it's earthquake. Make a quick move to a safe place. Don't run to the door, we are any exit. Stairs might broke up or full of people. Elevator, avoid that, because you might get in and poof, power gone, and you're stuck in that box without ear. Take cover under a strong table or a bed, or crouch against an inside wall or in a corner, and cover your face and your head with your arms. Remember, DCH, drop, cover, hold on. Glass windows and doors, outside walls and doors in an earthquake, bad news. Take care yourself. Most injuries during earthquakes happen when something drop and hit people entering or exiting a building. Last thing, don't want to run outside and ask, you feel it, you feel it? Remain calm, stay indoors until all the shaking stop, and do the DCH, drop, cover, hold on.
This message is sponsored by the Australian Government, AusAid, and produced by NEMA in collaboration with Win FM.
The future is here, everybody must be aware. The cash taking easy digital, you don't need to use money physically. You could use a phone to send, receive, and so much more. The cash safer, faster, cheaper, so get it up on your mobile phone. Everybody rolling now with the cash. Everybody rolling now with the cash. Everybody rolling now with the cash. We spending easy dollars digitally, rolling now with the cash. Everybody rolling now with the cash. Everybody rolling now with the cash. We spending easy dollars digitally.
The easy dollar is digital. Make payments safer, faster, and cheaper with Dcash. Take your business to another level by sending and receiving easy funds in seconds. No hidden fees during the pilot phase, and it's open to everyone. So sign up for Dcash today. For more information about Dcash, visit www.dcashec.com or check out our Facebook and Instagram pages at DcashEC. Download the free app from the Play Store. Remember, the future of our currency is here. Dcash, it's safer, faster, and cheaper.
Everybody rolling now with Dcash. Everybody rolling now with Dcash. Everybody rolling now with Dcash. We spending easy dollars digitally.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Just like a dream to me that somehow came true. And I know tomorrow will still be the same, 'cause we had a life
Trish, let's go. The bus is about to leave.
You go. Tell mommy I had detention.
I'm not lying to mommy. Where are you going?
I have a date.
A date? Shh. Don't shush me. Where are you going? I hope it's not to see that old man again.
He's not that old. He just came back from away and he's bringing me a gift.
You know if mommy find out what you're doing.
She won't, because you're not gonna tell her. I'm gonna bring some money for you too. He always gives me cash to top up my phone and stuff.
No, I don't want it, and I'm not letting you go. Get on the bus or I'm telling the principal.
Secretly receiving gifts or items from older people may be the beginning of sexual grooming, which often leads to sexual exploitation. Don't allow your friends to encourage you to keep quiet about them secretly meeting with an adult. Break the silence. Talk to a teacher, guidance counselor, your parents, or a trusted adult who can help. This message is brought to you by UNICEF, UK Aid, Crime Stoppers, and this station.
Watch this, Barris. Who wants to but I want to list? Here why? Thought I could live without you. Thought everything would be fine. I saw nothing special about you, but still you were plaguing my mind. I used to take you for granted. You were the last name in my life. Presently you're the most wanted, at the top of my line. And it was yesterday when I saw you down the lane. You and my best friend. Jealousy, my heart felt the pain. And now I'm falling in love all over again. Yeah. How could I ever doubt that you were my friend? I'm falling in love all over again. Watch this. How could I ever doubt that you were my friend? Barris. Yeah. Oh, say that big man don't cry. You never miss the water till you well run dry. Could you find it in your heart to give me one more blight? I won't abuse the situation. This time I won't lie. For my nightly conversation. Also me lullaby. Fresh squeeze orange juice. And me eggs well fried. Garments well clean. From me socks to me tie. She's a friend, also a lover. That mean me not for shy. Fi express myself straight up to the sky. You. Ooh, say that big man don't cry. You never miss the water till you well run dry. Me say, ooh, say that big man don't cry. Now I'm falling in love all over again. It's only natural. How could I ever doubt that you were my friend? Yeah. Right now I'm falling in love all over again. As I was saying, how could I ever doubt that you were my friend? Watch this. Woman, I miss all your sweet chat. I know you massage me back. It burn me out for sister John time I get that. Woman want affection. Somebody feeling pan. Through me ignorance, me never understand. I'm going to take time out to show me love motion. I make you know we can't stop, can't respond. I am the greatest lover boy in on the island. More time you slip up, more time you go wrong. Hear me out, woman, I beg you understand. Even the wisest man, the great King Solomon. Take what him picky and get a wrong bank. That's how him lose him throat in the great Babylon. So me say, oh, say that big man don't cry. I learn the hard way. Woman don't ask me why you. Oh, say that big man don't cry. Come Barris, I'm come tell the world why. Now I'm falling in love all over again. Yeah. How could I ever doubt? She's a friend and also.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
This is your official invitation to the Conscious Party.
Get conscious, get down to business every Wednesday with Conscious Business. Join the Conscious Musical Reasoning with Selector Highest, strictly positive and conscious music on Conscious Business on WinFM 98.9, winfm.com. Vibes include Business Education Corner, Business Quote of the Day, Agriculture Time, and Mama Love Track of the Day.
Mama, I don't ever want to see you cry.
Conscious Business is brought to you by Like New Steam Cleaning. You too can get exposure and awareness for your business when you call WinFM's sales department to advertise here. Conscious Business is positive growth.
My two hands in the air as far as I can.
future is unknown. Protect your life, your family, and your valuables from unforeseen circumstances. Let National Caribbean Insurance give you the peace of mind that you so deserve. At NCI, we offer a suite of affordable insurance plans that can be tailored to ease your financial burden. We aim to deliver exceptional products to satisfy all your insurance needs. Whether life, health, motor, or property insurance, NCI has the right solution for you. Our friendly and knowledgeable sales professionals are ready and able to assist you. Let National Caribbean Insurance Company Limited help you to prepare for the unexpected. We serve, we protect, we satisfy. That's NCI.
Supermarket shoppers understand that convenience matters. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Ample parking and the widest variety matter. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Clean, spacious aisles and the highest level of customer service all matter. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, price matters most. We've renewed our commitment to guarantee the lowest prices in the Federation. Why? Because we understand that in this tough economic environment, price matters most. Shop smart. Shop Value Mart, where price matters most. Farms Estate Nevis and Wellington Road, St. Kitts.
Price matters most.
I'm done hating myself for feeling. I'm done crying myself away. I gotta leave and start the healing. But when you move like that, I just wanna stay. What have I become? Looking through your phone now, oh now. Love to you is just a game. Look what I have done. Dialing out the numbers, oh yeah. I don't want my heart to break, baby. How do you sleep when you lie to me? All that shame and all that danger. I'm hoping that my love will keep you up tonight, baby. How do you sleep when you lie to me? All that fear and all that pressure. I'm hoping that my love will keep you up tonight. Tell me, how do you? Love will keep you up tonight. Tell me, how do you? Oh no, how did I manage to lose me? I am not this desperate, not this crazy. There's no way I'm sticking around to find out. I won't lose like that, I won't lose myself. Look what I have done, dialing up the numbers, oh yeah. I don't want my heart to break, baby. How do you sleep when you lie to me? All that shame and all that danger. I'm hoping that my love will keep you up tonight, baby. How do you sleep when you lie to me? All that fear and all that pressure. I'm hoping that my love will keep you up tonight. Tell me, how do you? Love will keep you up tonight. Tell me, how do you? Love will keep you up tonight, baby.
feeling so cold and lonely, only you can make it right. Leave a little love, baby, my darling. Leave a little love. Just a little touch of your fingertip sure will make my day. And if your body shivers when it's close to mine, summer is here to stay. Leave a little love. Leave a little love. Give me some sign now, a little darling. Let your love find me. Ooh, my baby. Leave a little love now, a little darling. Give me your love, sweet, sweet love. Let your love find me. Let your love find me. Leave a little love now. In the cold, and lonely night. In times like these, oh baby, please don't you meet me halfway. Even with my coat and the heater on, it's colder than the weatherman says. Leave a little love. Leave a little love. These arms of mine, it's just for time. Could get to hold you close. Just a little bit, I will satisfy. Make the most of it. Leave a little love. Leave a little love. Give me some sign, my little darling. Let your love find me. Ooh, my baby. Leave a little love now. Leave a little love. Give me your love, sweet, sweet love. Let your love find me. Let your love find me. Leave a little love, yeah. In the cold, and lonely night. Just a little love from you, my baby, get me through the night. The feeling's so cold and lonely, only you can make it right. Leave a little love. Leave a little love. Give me some sign now, a little darling. Let your love find me. Ooh, my baby. Leave a little love now, a little darling. Give me your love, sweet, sweet love. Let your love find me. Let your love find me. Leave a little love now. In the cold, and lonely night. Give me some sign. Give me some sign, yeah. Let your love find me. Let your love find me. Leave a little love now. Ooh, give me your love. Let your love find me. Let your love find me. Leave a little love now. Oh yeah. In the cold, lonely night. Give me some sign now, a little darling. Let your love find me. Ooh, my baby. Leave a little love now, a little darling. Give me your love, sweet, sweet love. Let your love find me.
Hi everyone! Welcome to Conversations with Our Kids.
Tune in every Saturday morning to Conversations with Our Kids.
Oh my gosh! I am so excited for this show. I feel like a professional radio announcer already. I am nervous and excited at the same time.
10 a.m. is Kids Time on Win FM. Conversation with Our Kids.
I made sure to tell my entire family, my teacher, classmates to tune in. Tune in.
Conversation with Our Kids.
We're going to talk about education, religion, money, family life, social media, and other interesting topics. This is a show for kids, created by kids. Conversations with Our Kids. Every Saturday morning at 10, only on Win Media.
Listen live on Win FM 98.9 or at winmediaskn.com. Conversation with Our Kids. Every Saturday morning at 10, only on Win FM. Also streaming live at Win Media SKN on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
When you look from outside, all you see is videos and shows. Yeah. But there's more to my life than people could ever know. Sometimes I gotta smile when I don't feel like smiling. Sit back and ride when I feel like driving. Nobody understands but you, girl. I can always be myself with you, girl. That's why I'm singing. Ooh, I can't believe it. You came just in time with what I needed, and you're not like the other girls I meet every day. You stay down like them girls from around the way. Oh, that's why I had to say, come follow me, come follow me, come follow me. That's why I had to say, come follow me, come follow me, come follow me. That's why I had to say, come follow me, come follow me, come follow me now, right now, right now. Since you've been in my life, when I'm away from you, I hurry home. Oh yeah, I hurry home. You live in my mind, so I never feel like I'm alone. Yeah, alone. Sometimes I gotta go where I don't feel like going when it gets too fast, and I feel like slowing down. No one understands but you. That's why I only see myself with you. Ooh, I can't believe it. You came just in time with what I needed, and you're not like the other girls I meet every day. You stay down like them girls from around the way. Real girls stay down, that's for sure. I can't believe it. You came just in time with what I needed, and you're not like the other girls that I meet. You stay down like them girls from around the way. Come to go, come follow me now. Come follow me, 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 come follow me now, right now. You've been there for me, and I'll be there for you, girl. I can't believe it. You came just in time with what I needed, and you're not like the other girls I meet every day. You stay down like them girls from the way. Ooh, I can't believe it. You came just in time with what I needed, and you're not like the other girls I meet every day. From around the way. You stay down like them girls from the way, baby. Ooh, I can't believe it. You came just in time with what I needed, and you're not like the other girls I meet every day. You stay down like them girls from around the way.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
So who you left the kids with tonight?
Nobody. They're big enough to take care of themselves.
Girl, you mad? Junior only 7 years old. And suppose something happened to the baby while you're out here?
My mother was leaving me home by myself since I'm 5. He can handle it. Nothing gonna happen.
This don't feel right. Call and check on them.
Look, I work hard all week. I deserve this break. Besides, they're good. Hello?
Leaving underage children at home by themselves is child neglect. Need support? See if another family member or a trusted neighbor can help. This message brought to you by UNICEF, UKAID, Crime Stoppers, and this station.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
King Ocean, king of the Caribbean seas, announces king-size savings on shipments from Miami to St. Kitts. We have the Best service and competitive rates on LTL and FCL cargo, including D&E containers, cars, heavy equipment, buses, boats, and barrels from Miami to St. Kitts. LTL pickup service anywhere in the U.S. Call local agents SL Horseman and Company Limited at 869-465-4086 or 869-662-5008 for further details. King Ocean's king size savings on shipments from Miami to St. Kitts Nevis. King Ocean, king of the Caribbean seas.
Carnival, I love you so. Patrice again. When I go down. High out of my mind, looseness in my waist, not to answer shame. No shame, washing up my spine, making up my face, not to answer shame. No shame, they don't know me already. When it come to party, I just wine and go down and wine and go down and wine and go down full stop. And everybody, they just talk about me with my hand in the air, rum in my head. Why not doing it till I hold on, 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 till I hold on. Well, all of my friends, them is bad influence. I have not to answer shame. No shame. Bring the cameraman. You could put me on Instagram. I have not to answer shame. No shame. You don't know me already. Don't care about nobody. I just turn up the vibes non stop. And everybody, they just call me crazy. With my hand in the air and rum in my head. Why not doing it till I hold on, 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 till I hold on. On the avenue, out here on the road, I have not to answer shame. No shame, no shame. Showing off my costume, yes. Leave me, let me bloom. I have not to answer shame. No shame, no shame, no shame. You don't know me already. Me and my posse, we just mash up the stage and just refuse to get off. All who don't like it, well, them can bite me. This is my country, my carnival. That is why I'm showing off. I'm doing it till I hold on, 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 till I hold on,
Na na na, na na na, na na, diggy diggy dum daddy, simmy diggy dum daddy, simmy diggy dum daddy, daddy. Liar, I say, I will never ever switch on nana, my friends. I will never switch up on my friends who drive a Benz. I will never disrespect my mother or my wife. I'll never sell my soul, cause in the end it's about life. Let me tell you about I, grateful, I. Work hard for every single thing I have in life, I tell you why. I, humble, I. Work hard for every single thing I have in life, and I swear, yes I swear, that I will never ever sell out, I swear, that I will never ever sell out my friends. Cause if you don't have love, then what's it worth in the end? Only time would tell, only time could, only time could tell, only time would tell, only time could, only time could. my brother. Say love, man, and my sister. We will roll forever till the end of time. If life is good to I, then life is good to you. That's what we do. Family, family for true. Family, family for true. Ooh, I. What God for every single thing I have in life, I tell you why. Grateful, what God for everything in life, and that is why I swear, yes I swear, that I will never ever sell out, I swear, that I will never ever sell out my friends, cause if you don't have love, then what's it worth in me? Only time would tell, only time could tell, only time would tell, only time could tell who's the real. I see you with your team, but you look so mean, like you don't know it's carnival. Militant and clean, straight like a marine. Is it me or you afraid of bacchanal? Can't tell there is something on your mind, but you can't rewind the hands of time. Sweet music I play, why you look so grey? Won't even take a wine. Not sure what happened yesterday, but don't let this feeling get away. So don't be vexed, move on to one next. So hear what I say. The way to get over your ex-man is to take a wine under an ex-man. The only way to get over your ex-man is to take a wine under an ex-man. Girl, see me there, see me there, see me there, see me there. Come and wipe your stress away. See me there, see me there, see me there, see me there. Let me help you break away. See me there, see me there, see me there, see me there. Come and wipe your stress away. See me there, see me there, see me there, see me there. Let me help you break away. Really, why you studying here when your heart sweet me? I stand up and I wonder. I see what he never did see. You a queen and divine, much more than a bumper. Girl, you were born to shine. So walk that waist and wine. And I don't care how long it takes, cause one day you'll be mine. So royal and divine, can't get you out my mind. So take my hand and leave your past behind. The way to get over your ex-man is to take a wine under an ex-man. The only way to get over your ex-man is to take a wine under an ex-man. Girl, see me there, see me there, see me there, see me there. Come and wipe your stress away. See me there, see me there, see me there, see me there. Let me help you break away. See me there, see me there, see me there, see me there. Come and wipe your stress away. See me there, see me there, see me there, see me there. Let me help you break away. Start to wind now. Start to wind now. When I play on Carnival Day, Monday, Tuesday, like you want to sneak away, like a man done gone, I think you get on. That's all I have to say. So stop this stressing out. Tell your man to go and shut him out. You single and free, you're whining with me, you finish with he. The way to get over your ex-man is to take a wine under an ex-man. The only way to get over your ex-man is to take a wine under an ex-man. Girl, see me there, see me there, see me there, see me there. Come and wipe your stress away. See me there, see me there, see me there, see me there. Let me help you break away. See me there, see me there, see me there, see me there. Come and wipe your stress away. See me there, see me there, see me there, see me there. Let me help you break away. Start to wind now. Start to wind now. Start to wind now. Start to wind now. Start to wind now.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
This is your official invitation to the conscious party.
Get conscious, get down to business every Wednesday with Conscious Business. Join the Conscious Musical Reasoning with Select the Highest, strictly positive and conscious music and conscious business on WinFM 98.9, winfm.com. Vibes include Business Education Corner, Business Quote of the Day, Agriculture Time, and Mama Love Track of the Day.
Mama, I don't ever want to see you cry.
Conscious Business is brought to you by Like New Steam Cleaning. You too can get exposure and awareness for your business when you call WinFM's sales department to advertise here. Conscious Business is positive growth.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Coming in, we ready to go, yeah. We gon' make them jump, we gon' make them turn up, we gon' make them wine, we gon' make them free up. It's this place a bacchanal, in this sweet botanical, this carnival. I want you to find your way, everybody on stage, oh God, oh. If you're coming down from the mountain, oh God, oh. When the rhythm beats in town, see me jumping on. Savannah grass, you could see it already got red for Lord. When the people tell you they cannot wait for God, feel the spirit jumping in tongues. We coming home, the Savannah grass, we up with the sun, yeah. We take over tongue, yeah. We making the most, yeah. Today's not enough, no. It's love we feeling. Look, everybody reveling. They're ready to go, yeah. We gon' make them jump, we gon' make them turn up, we gon' make them wine, we gon' make them free up. It's this place a bacchanal, with a vibe so magical, this carnival. I want you to find your way, everybody on stage, oh God, oh. If you're coming down from the mountain, oh God, oh. When the rhythm beats in town, see me jumping on the Savannah grass, you could see it already got red for God, oh. When the people tell you they cannot wait for God, oh. Feel the spirit jumping in town, we coming home, the Savannah grass, oh na na na, yeah, it's Savannah to the morning, oh na na na, yeah.
It's your boy Rupee. Gotta let these punks and clowns know. They gotta be a man about it if they see their lady go. You know, you gotta give your woman what she wants. You gotta give your woman what she needs. You gotta let your woman know how much you love her, love her. You gotta make your woman feel wanted and never take your woman for granted. Before you know it, homeboy, you just may lose her, lose her.
what you've got. Here's a reminder, it seems you forgot.
She's only human.
She's hot, so many others wanna take your spot. You better realize what you've got. Here's a reminder, it seems you forgot.
She needs love and attention.
She is a winner.
Winner, winner.
You might just lose her.
Loser, loser. There's nothing in the world she would not do, and every little thing she does for you. But still you refuse to show her respect. Before you wake up and open your eyes, it's only then that you will realize she's in the arms of a man just like our UPD.
She's hot, so many others wanna take your spot. You better realize what you've got. Here's a reminder, it seems you forgot.
She's only human.
She's hot, so many others wanna take your spot. You better realize what you've got. Here's a reminder, it seems you forgot.
She needs love and affection.
She is a winner.
Winner, winner.
You might just lose her.
Yeah, agony. Come on.
You gotta treat the girl with class and quality. She can't be a player with a foolish personality.
You know.
She no want a man who can treat a girl proper. That's why she ball for the agony. She want candlelight dinner for two. Shining true, she gotta know what your lady wants from you. You don't know the flex, so don't get your girl vexed, or she might come for rupee next, yo.
This is a warning to you men out there. You gotta let your woman know you care. Cause somebody's out there who will treat her better, better. It is your life, you can do what you choose. But be a man about it if you lose. Don't ever say that you weren't warned of danger, danger.
She's hot, so many others wanna take your spot. You better realize what you've got. Here's a reminder, it seems you forgot.
She's only human.
She's hot, so many others wanna take your spot. You better realize what you've got. Here's a reminder, it seems you forgot.
She needs love and affection.
She is a winner.
Winner, winner.
You might just lose her.
Loser, loser.
She is a winner.
Winner, winner.
You might just lose her.
Loser, loser.
'Cause she's a winner. 'Cause she's a winner. 'Cause she's a winner. 'Cause she's a winner.
Carnival in Antigua. People come from all over to jam and wine in the bands because they know they're number one. And when you hear that them don't jam, you know they want something from them. But they don't want no saltfish, no. And they don't want no fish, no. They don't want no lobster, no. No, they don't want no shark, no. They don't want no conchs, no. They don't want no sea cats, no. They don't want no stingray, no. Just get them, big tail and big mouth. Everybody shout out, big tail and big mouth. Everybody shout out, big tail and big mouth. Everybody shout out, big tail and big mouth. Everybody shout out. searching at every boot, but still can't find the right food. Cause they don't want no goat, no. None of them want no lamb, no. They don't want no beef, no. They don't want no chicken, no. They don't want no duck, no. They don't want no crab, no. They don't want no curry, no. Just get them, big tail and big mouth. Everybody shout out. 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 Come and carnival soon done. People jumping all over town. Before them know the tongue locked down. They start to search for something for young. But they don't want no shad, no. They don't want no herring, no. They don't want no lingfish, no. They don't want no tukuna, no. They don't want no pie, no. They don't want no cake, no. They don't want no burger, no. Just get them. What they want is big tail and big mouth. Everybody shout out. 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 Tail and big mouth, everybody shout out. Big tail and big mouth, everybody shout out. Big tail and big mouth, everybody shout out. Big tail and big mouth, everybody.
You found the sound. 98.9 Win FM.
Buildings damaged by an earthquake are dangerous. This is not the time for sightseeing. You could be in personal danger and your presence could hamper emergency responses. Also, stay away from areas prone to landslides, low-lying coastal areas, lakes and streams that lead to the ocean. Do not head for the coast until local authorities tell you that the danger of a tsunami has passed. Curiosity can kill.
This message is sponsored by the Australian Government, AusAid, and produced by NEMA in collaboration with Win FM.
Buying your medication is easy with City Drugstore's curbside pickup. WhatsApp our certified pharmacist at 662-8769 with your requests. For prescriptions, take a clear photograph and send for review. We will engage you in dialogue and then provide a quotation and link for payment. You can then pay via TDC's online payment portal. And once the transaction is complete, you'll be notified that your pickup is ready. Yes, it's that easy. Send your WhatsApp message to 662-8769 to order your medications today with City Drugstore's curbside pickup service.
Oh, oh, already, 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 already know. Already, 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 soon go. Already, 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 already know. Oh, don't afraid to tell them you can't behave inside you like that. We go on them. You can't behave inside you like that. Somebody tell them you can't behave inside you like that. Let we want them. You can't behave like that. Tantrum people, don't spoil the vibes, don't spoil the vibes. Tantrum people, don't kill the vibes, don't kill the vibes. What's wrong with you there? Like a drunk hour, you're wicked hour, your face on the floor, what you looking for more? Where you learn to dream, where you really think your behavior to stink. Just put down the bottle, time to stop. Don't play up, don't play up. You keep on leaning like it will drop, drop, drop. Teardrop people, don't spoil the vibes, don't spoil the vibes. Teardrop people, don't kill the vibes, don't kill the vibes. And don't play mad for me. Don't play mad for me. Don't play mad for me. Just go home. Don't play mad for me. Don't play mad for me. Don't play mad for me. Just go home. So don't afraid to tell them you can't behave inside you like that. We go on them. You can't behave inside you like that. Somebody tell them you can't behave inside you like that. Let we want them. You can't behave like that. Now I'm more than ready. Already, 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 already know. Already, 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 soon go. Already, 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 already know. No toleration for no drunken man or for no drunken woman. All you just stay in the section. Better yet, all you go. Go, go. Pack your things and go. Go, go. Yeah, yeah. Say money spend, money spend, money spend. Oh, why you want it to end, to end? Pack up your things, my friend, and go. Party good, party good, party good. Why you trying to mess up the mood? Before I get rude, just go home. So teardrop people, don't spoil the vibes, don't spoil the vibes. Teardrop people, don't kill the vibes, don't kill the vibes. And don't play mad for me. Don't play mad for me. Don't play mad for me. Just go home. Don't play mad for me. Don't play mad for me. Don't play mad for me. Just go home. Don't afraid to tell them you can't behave inside you like that. We go on them. You can't behave inside you like that. Somebody tell them you can't behave inside you like that. Then we want them. You can't behave like that. Now I'm more than ready. Already, 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 already know. Already, 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 soon go. Already, 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 already know. Now I'm more than ready. Already, 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 already know. Already, 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 soon go. Already, 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 already know.
You see so much people, plenty
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Hi everyone! Welcome to Conversations with Our Kids.
Tune in every Saturday morning to Conversations with Our Kids.
Oh my gosh! I am so excited for this show. I feel like a professional radio announcer already. I am nervous and excited at the same time.
10 a.m. is Kids Time on Win FM. Conversation with Our Kids.
I made sure to tell my entire family, my teacher, classmates to tune in. Tune in.
Conversation with Our Kids.
We're going to talk about education, religion, money, family life, social media, and other interesting topics.
This is a show for kids, created by kids.
Conversations with Our Kids.
Every Saturday morning at 10 only on Win Media.
Listen live on Win FM 98.9 or at winmediaskn.com. Conversation with Our Kids. Every Saturday morning at 10 only on Win FM. Also streaming live at Win Media SKN on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
This is your official invitation to the Conscious Party.
Get conscious, get down to business every Wednesday with Conscious Business. Join the Conscious Musical Reasoning with Select the Highest, strictly positive and conscious music on Conscious Business on WinFM 98.9, winfm.com. Vibes include Business Education Corner, Business Quote of the Day, Agriculture Time, and Mama Love Track of the Day.
Mama, I don't ever want to see you cry.
Conscious Business is brought to you by Light New Steam Cleaning. You too can get exposure and awareness for your business when you call WinFM's sales department to advertise here. Conscious Business is positive growth.
The future is unknown. Protect your life, your family, and your valuables from unforeseen circumstances. Let National Caribbean Insurance give you the peace of mind that you so deserve. At NCI, we offer a suite of affordable insurance plans that can be tailored to ease your financial burden. We aim to deliver exceptional products to satisfy all your insurance needs. Whether life, health, motor, or property insurance, NCI has the right solution for you. Our friendly and knowledgeable sales professionals are ready and able to assist you. Let National Caribbean Insurance Company Limited help you to prepare for the unexpected. We serve, we protect, we satisfy. That's NCI.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
she from, I don't know. Rock she waist and go low. Pick up the place like a dojo. So what you say, what you say, what you say? Pretty girl, when you come my way, what you do, what you do, what you do? I must get through. Girl, roll up now, you show me that wine. Turn around, girl, don't be shy. Hello, 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 hello. Yeah. So girl, I love how the way you blow my mind. Hold me tight and bring down wine. Hello, 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 hello. Lord, hey. Are you ready? Are you ready for it? Are you ready? Are you ready for it? You want give me that? Don't hold back. Wind it up, ride it, front to the back. No long chat, just come to me. I'll give you that sweet type of love. Sweet type of love. Come give me that sweet type of love. Real type of love. Hold me, darling. Cause whole night we jabbing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Say she sweet like a mango. She play the thing like a banjo. Them other girl them don't know how she clap the thing like a go-go. Lad. So what you say, what you say, what you say? Sexy girl, when you come my way, what you do, what you do, what you do? I must get through. Girl, roll up now, you show me that wine. Turn around, girl, don't be shy. Hello, 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 hello. Yeah. So girl, I love how the way you blow my mind. Hold me tight and bring down wine. Hello, 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 hello. Lord, hey. Are you ready? Are you ready for it? Are you ready? Are you ready for it? You want give me that? No hold back. Wind it up, ride it, front to the back. No long chat, just come to me. I'll give you that sweet type of love. Sweet type of love. Come give me that sweet type of love. Real type of love. Hold me, darling. Cause whole night we jabbing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Dum 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 dum. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, 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 hello. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hi everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Our Kids.
Tune in every Saturday morning to Conversations with Our Kids.
Oh my gosh, I am so excited for this show. I feel like a professional radio announcer already. I am nervous and excited
At the same time,
10 a.m. is Kids Time on Win FM. Conversation with Our Kids.
I made sure to tell my entire family, my teacher, classmates to tune in. Tune in.
Conversation with Our Kids.
We're going to talk about education, religion, money, family life, social media, and other interesting topics.
This is a show for kids, created by kids.
Conversations with Our Kids.
Every Saturday morning at 10 only on Win Media.
Listen live on Win FM 98.9 or at winmediaskn.com. Conversation with Our Kids. Every Saturday morning at 10 only on Win FM. Also streaming live at Win Media SKN on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
Hypnotize, hypnotize me, hypnotize, hypnotize me, hypnotize, hypnotize me. Come baby, hypnotize, hypnotize me, hypnotize, hypnotize me, hypnotize. Oh baby, my eyes focus on your bumper. No, it's the way that you shake and you jiggle up the place and you move it into space with a smile on my face, girl. I'm floating on cloud 9 right now. It's the wine in your waist, got my eyes them days. Oh, spin it around and go down and then drop it. Girl, come up and go down and then drop it. Hey, my girl, you a tease me. My girl, you not easy. Spin, go down and drop it. Girl, come up and go down and then drop it. Hey, my girl, you a tease me. My girl, you not easy. Girl, the way you dance, it got me in a trance. When you whine, you hypnotize me. Girl, the way you dance, it got me in a trance. When you're whining, it hypnotizes me. She hypnotized, she hypnotized. When you whine, you hypnotize. She hypnotized, she hypnotized. When you whine, it hypnotized. How your bumper move right there. Speed black have nothing to say, gal. The way how you move, the way how you groove. Drop that bumper there, gal. Your waist on fire. You're the one them and them desire. Whining like you working for hire. When we hold your gal up here, dagga, 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 dagga. Just move it up slow. You know how to work it. Bump that bumper and twerk it. Them and them deserve it. The way how you move, the way how you groove, that just turn me on. Oh Lord, eh. Girl, the way you dance, it got me in a trance. When you whine, you hypnotize. Girl, the way you dance, it got me in a trance. When you whine.